There we go. Fucking sweaty. What the hell? Ugh. Oh god, it feels awkward. Oh god, I hate that. What's this? New York Public Library offers nationwide access to banned books. Cool. Too bad I don't live in New York, or else I would actually want to go to that. Check it out. Go to the banned books section and see what's in there. Probably a lot of LGBT type of books. And also probably like an interesting mixture of probably like conspiracy books and maybe like far-right books too. That'd be interesting. I mean, considering how like the agenda about banned books or banning books, I guess, you know, is pointed at currently, I imagine it's probably more LGBT books and shit like that. I also won't be surprised if like People's History by Howard Zinn was in there, because that book is actually pretty good. Still need to get a copy myself. Have that loaded in a bit. Ugh. God, fuck. Do I need like a sweat wag or something in here now? Like, seriously? I have like nothing I can use for that. Feeling moisture like all over my face, all over my body, and God, it sucks. Boo. Here. Do this. Cool. Let's see. I like what Barnard was doing. Dope. There we go. Sweet. That's loud. Oh shit, Alice Cooper's playing? Tuesday night? Fuck. I don't know if I'll be able to go to that. It's last second notification on it though. Do this real quick. Do that. Boom. See if I can be tempted for Alice Cooper concert. That'd be actually a pretty nice little surprise. if that ends up being something that goes into fruition. Fellow explorer of the dank seas, this be an empty stream. A little bit. It is. Just found out Alice Cooper is playing at the Arlene Schnitzer Hall in Portland Tuesday. So I'm gonna see if I can get down with that, not even gonna lie. Because if so, then that's just another concert to go to. Of my theme of the whole fuck 2020, 2021. Sweet little boy. It's not the main thing I actually want to delve into for today. When it comes to shit to talk about. Actually, I saw that Chris Smalls of the Amazon Labor Union went on Tucker Carlson, and now there's been like some hoopla about that. I actually haven't really seen the hoopla. I've just noticed that it's just kind of been circulating now, and I'm just like, huh, okay. I mean, depending on, you know, what he says, I guess, you know, that could either be good or bad, but honestly, it's just like, you know, really, we just can't, like, fucking, you know, like, look at every goddamn, like, far-right type of show, especially if it's, like, the most popular in America, and just be like, no, not gonna go on there. Because especially if they have, like, you know, I mean, especially for Tucker Carlson, that's like an insane fucking following, and a lot of people that watch them. It's like, it is probably at least, you know, important to get, you know, your message out there, not just in leftist spheres, especially when it comes to labor. But, you know, but also to try to tap into these type of fucking people that might, you know, be on the right, or at least, you know, that's the main source of shit that they view, and actually realize, hey, I actually kind of agree with this type of stuff. Because the idea isn't to fucking try to change Tucker Carlson's mind. Like, he's an absolute fucking propagandist and a total fucking con man. And an out-and-out union buster and a piece of shit, too, you know, to boot, you know, with that. So, it's not really about trying to convince, you know, Carlson of it. It's more so his audience. I mean, which basically implies is, you know, don't fucking buy into his shit. So going on to these people's shows, you can't just fucking, you know, be like, oh yes, you know, you're kind of like, you know, buying into a point I agree with. It's like, no, because they really aren't. Like, they might, you know, to a certain degree, like, oh yeah, you know, you're against, you know, the Dems and this and that, but it's like, I mean, only to an extent, and definitely not in the same way that they are. I was just gonna check it out here in a sec, just kind of actually see what all was. But I'll give it a little bit before I do. Just mainly because I just find it curious that, you know, there's still people, like, mainly who are like lefty or progressive, who don't want to try to, like, reach out more. Where it's, you know, because that's where especially a lot of these ideas, you know, start getting more traction. It's not necessarily just between other, like, lefties or centrists or liberal types, but there's definitely people on the right that, you know, are very likely to be open to this shit too. I mean, hell, some of this shit and this new wave against trans people and the LGBT has actually been showing that. There's been people, you know, like parents mainly, who have come out and been like, yeah, I've been like a Christian conservative type, you know, pretty much my entire life, but because of my child and, you know, and because I actually love my kid, you know, I support the fact that they're gay or trans or whatever the fuck. It took me a while and took me some time to learn and figure it out and have some self-reflection, but I did. And now you have these, you know, parents who might, or at least, you know, these people in general who usually might have been on the more Christian evangelical right wing, but are now at least more centrist, or at least a little bit more, to the left on some, at least certain issues. And isn't that good? I mean, it should at least be seen as good. But the only way to do that is to, try to actually, make a message that also, can coincide with some of these people that have right-leaning shows and shit. Especially for people like Tucker. Because, I mean, it's important to try to reach out to the people that watch them. Not really to the hosts or the people that make the show themselves, but, or fund it, as well. But to people that watch it. Because the ones that are funding these shows and trying to propagate their bullshit, they're hoping that, when these people come on, that they're going to, buy into some of the narrative that they're funding and pushing. But as long as you don't give them that shit, they're not going to have much besides, oh, well, I guess it's interesting. Okay. Don't have much to say because they know if they try to say more, they're not going to be able to actually be on their side or, show themselves, to be, like this open, like, kind of neutral looking, type of thing that they're trying to put off. Even though they obviously aren't. Just motion real quick. Damn weed. There we go. Ooh. Man, it's sweaty. Definitely a lot more of a warmer day today than it has been the last couple days. There we go. Yeah, fuck it. Looks like I might go to the Alice Cooper concert. Sweet. But he's like, he's saying he's uncertain, but he's wondering if anyone else is joining. I just responded and said, hey, I'm most absolutely down if anyone else is willing to go, but if it's just us two that, is down, then fuck it, let's just make it us. If the rest of the friend group doesn't want to go to Alice Cooper for some reason, fuck it, I'll go. I haven't seen Alice Cooper live anyway, so I think I was trying to go last time, but didn't find out about it until the very last second and didn't have time to fucking get the day off. But this time I do have a day off that day, and fucking still finding out last second, but we're able to go. So that's at least gonna be some good shit. Oh, let's see what else. Something too. Oops. Oop. And you know, I actually haven't seen what the Russian National's been up to. Looks like he also responded to this whole Amazon labor thing. Amazon union organizer shuts down Tucker's bait. Doesn't take the bait. Well, that's good at least. I haven't seen it yet, but just hearing that already sounds like a good sign. I mean, if Chris Smalls was on there being like, you know, saying his shit, but not taking Carlson's stupid propaganda bait, it just kind of proves that, you know, he's got the idea. Like, he knows that, you know, reaching out to some of these people, you know, is a good idea, because he probably knows that some of his co-workers are probably, you know, on the right to some extent. Not all of them, but I'm sure that some of them are. And he understands that, you know, despite that, the, you know, things that, you know, come into their benefit just as much as his, in the long run, when it comes to unions and labor, you know, they understand where, you know, their issues correlate. And if anything, that's probably built a lot more bridges, you know, for those people, you know, to the point where they're a lot more open and willing to understand, you know, people on the left too. Considering there's been a lot of, you know, influence and agitation from leftist organizers during this whole unionization effort. So, either way, it's just like these type of things are good. And they need to, you know, consistently be, you know, pushed forward, you know, as such, you know, honestly. Because you can't take their bait, but at the same time, you know, going on there and telling their audience, you know, like the actual, you know, good truth about, you know, the reality of trying to, you know, take the power back, so to speak, you know, from the established order. That's, I mean, the main way to do it. I mean, demonizing your fellow man isn't necessarily the way to do it. Oh, how you doing, Zukov? You sweet little pretty baby. Hmm? He's just so cute. He's just a cute little boy. Yeah. Here, let's check out these never any things here. Should I watch Russian National videos first or Kyle's? So now I saw Kyle's video about it. Oh, he uploaded 2 videos. Nia Turner backs up at Pramila Jayapal. Oh, wow. Great. Some more shit, huh? You know, I'm actually really wanting to see this. And the Congressional Progressive Caucus.
Hi guys. to give everybody a little bit of backstory, earlier this week we talked to Nina Turner, and we had a wonderful conversation with her. And I'll have to say that in a second, but after we talked to Nina, we got some brand new information, which is, directly relevant to her race. We'll get to that in a second. We'll talk about that in a second. And so we had to record it now. We're in New York. We're going to do a Breaking Point show at a studio in New York. So it's, a little special event thingy that we're doing. And so, Crystal, why don't you go ahead and tell them
Get to
what
the point.
news
Start it.
is on Nina Turner and, why we're recording this in a car at a very awkward time.
Yeah, so there's two things. There's good news and there's bad news. I'll start with the good news, which is that Senator Barnard Sanders has come in to endorse Mina in her race for Congress. As you guys probably know and recall, she ran, and this is her second time running for Congress. Last time around, she narrowly lost in the Democratic primary in a special election to Chantal Brown, corporate-backed candidate, tons of outside money flooded in from corporate interests, pharmaceutical interests, Trump backing Republicans. I mean, every sort of nefarious group you can imagine.
And now basically the Progressive Caucus of Premier Jayapal turning her back against her now too.
To flood the zone with Chantal Brown, who ends up winning by about 6 points. So Nina has decided to run again. And there are some reasons to believe this time might be different than the last
Definitely
time.
don't take no shit, doesn't back down, like her for that.
And include a more progressive electorate. So that's the backstory. Good news is, primaries in early May, and Bernie Sanders came in to back Nina, which, is expected in one sense, because of course Nina's been there for him in every way, serving as national co-chair of his campaign, being probably his most effective advocate and surrogate.
At the next light, turn right.
He comes in for her.
Excuse us on the directions.
The very next day, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, led by Pramila Jayapal, endorses against Mina, actively endorses the corporate-backed incumbent Chantal Brown, who is a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which shows you how meaningless.
Oh my God, she actually is? What the wow. So not only is this corporate bitch of, in the actual, incumbency and being endorsed, by the Progressive Caucus and Premier Jayapal, but she's also in it, despite being an utter total corporate centrist piece of shit. Wow. Honestly, at this point, anything that's related to the DNC or the Democratic Party, from the Progressive Caucus to a new way to all of them, every single one of them at this point, outside of the rare few exceptions like Katie Porter, Ilhan Omar, and well, honestly, that's really about it. Outside of maybe these very few little little different fucking rare instances and exceptions to this fucking rule, pretty much all of them are utterly totally either bought and owned by the entire system or paid puppets that are there to essentially undermine any type of fucking leftist action. They're not there, to fucking service their constituents or the people.
Of the Blue Dog New Democrat Caucus, the Josh Gottheimer, all those
please.
Corporate ghoulish people. The very fact that you could be a member of both of those caucuses is absurd.
No, you can't. It's an total and utter ideological contradiction. So, to say that you're a member of both really means I believe in nothing, and I'm only here in Washington, D.C. playing a game. And
that's most of them
Chantal
are.
Brown, so she's not only, not a progressive, I would argue she's actively conservative. So, for example, she's one of, I think, 18 Democrats that just decided we're going to try to throw a wrench into the Iran deal renegotiation.
Yeah.
She is just a total complete...
So she's also trying to undermine, a deal that was actually fucking good that Trump negged on. What? I thought the whole idea of, Democrats was to, at least when it came to foreign policy shit, was to try to reinstate that.
Narcissist. But now back to the Pramila Jayapal thing. Pramila Jayapal is supposed to be the leader of the so-called Congressional Progressive Caucus. These are supposed to be the Democrats who are, more principled and actually care more about the policies. Crystal, I don't know, try to talk me down off the ledge here if you disagree, but when I look at that, The fact of the matter to me is, Pramila Jayapal simply is not driven by the things that she pretends to be driven by, like, oh, I care about Medicare for all, oh, I care about a $15 minimum wage. No, you don't. If you did, you would absolutely back the person who's a proven fighter for these things.
I mean, honestly, it just kind of shows what fucking side they're on. I mean, and I think, honestly, maybe Kyle's starting to fucking get it. I mean, it's a little late, but hey, better than not. Better than never, I guess. I mean, it's just like, dude, they've always been like this. Like, I mean, like a lot of, like, more actual, like, radical lefties have been saying this for a while because, they've been, showing, in various different times, over and over again where people usually cop out and make excuses where it's just like, no, like, if they're willing to stab their back on this type of shit and people defend it and you're just, inviting them to do it over and over again, continuously. And now, you've, at this point, they made a bed and shat in it, and now you have to roll up in it and just sleep in it. It's like, congratulations. My Dom fucked up a little.
Vacuous, corporate-backed candidate, Chantel Brown, who's been beyond a disaster. And so, look, to me, when I look at this situation, what I see is Pramila Jayapal, he's ladder climbing. That's what she's doing. Pramila Jayapal is under this fucking delusion that Nancy Pelosi is going to handpick her to be the next Speaker of the House. I got news for you, Pramila Jayapal. It's a foregone conclusion. It's going to be Hakeem Jeffries. They already think of you as an enemy, even though Pramila Jayapal is not really an enemy of Pelosi. She's been a terrible, weak leader of the progressives. She's one of the reasons why the progressives at the last minute decided to back off the deal that was originally made on Build Back Better. Look, we'll put the traditional infrastructure bill, but the only way you get that is if you also vote for Build Back Better. She's one of the reasons, oh, we trust Biden, no, we're just going to go ahead and vote for the traditional infrastructure bill. You've been had, you've been took, and there was not a single moment of reckoning on that, Crystal, where they were like...
They were not had, they were in favor of this in the whole, in the first place. Like, the idea that these, progressives or some shit were just like, oh, we trust Biden and this and that. It's like, no, they were working within him and tangential with him. Because they were never fucking, lefties or progressives in the first place. They are by name because it's, some sort of a career game for them. Like, it's not like, they actually have, like, some sort of an ideological principled view when it comes to progressivism. Like, because, fundamentally, they might say it, but they don't give a fuck about labor. They don't give a fuck about, the wages or inflation or, the rights of, minority groups in this fucking country, or else they would actually be fucking fervently fighting. And they aren't. They're just, like, taking the piss and, expecting people to just, take the excuses. But it's just like, at this point, maybe people are starting to finally fucking get it a little bit. Because, goddamn. I mean, people can only, take them making excuses and doing fuck all for so long before it's just like, you know what the fuck are you actually doing? Like, are you actually, trying to fight, or are you just doing fuck all? Like, like, what are you doing? I mean, it's to the point where I think people are starting to get to that. Like, actually fucking fight, and, people will stop doubting you.
Bush and whoever decided we're going to stand by the original deal. Nobody ever said, hey, by the way, you guys were objectively correct. You were proven correct. We were wrong. We got hoodwinked.
Yeah. And in fact, it's the contrary. I know you covered this, Kyle, this week. If anything, they've gone in the direction of saying, like, oh, we should have been further and faster. Like,
that's right.
we were too...
That's what Rokana said.
Yeah, that's from Rokana, and I
Rokana,
have
a fucking rat.
I wanted to read what David Sirota, who has a great...
Like, I mean, like, Rokana especially is like an absolute goddamn rat. He's nothing more than a corporatist type of careerist that literally, guises himself as a progressive as much as possible, pretends to be that way, and is willing to work with him to a degree, but only do so as a means to an end. Like, like, these motherfuckers, are just there as either puppets, and lapdogs, for these fucking, blue dog centrist corporatists in the DNC, or, to some extent are just literally bought and owned by them. Like, just outright. I mean, when you have people in an entire quote-unquote progressive, and I just saying that even as a joke is laughable to me. It's just like, the idea of a progressive caucus, endorsing corporatists instead of an actual, like, ideological progressive. I mean, it just shows which side they're fucking on. You know, from AOC to Rokana to, you know, Jayapal, all these motherfuckers. They're on your fucking side, and they never will be. Like, at this point, maybe they were for, like, the first, like, month, you know, when they first got in there, but, you know, the system quickly made sure that they were re-educated and, you know, made more obedient. It's just fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's always stifled by capitalist corpus class. Of course. I mean, and honestly, I think now Kyle, you know, is definitely starting to get it a little bit. Like, honestly, these little, like, as weird as it is, like, these little very informal, like, car videos, I think is really showing some of his, you know, kind of colors about some of this shit, because he's, like, I mean, like, I could tell already just 5.5 minutes in that he is pissed. Like, he's fucking angry, because, you know, he, you know, for a long time, you know, had these ideas that, like, yeah, you know, these people are going to actually probably, you know, get at least some form of change. It might not be, like, true, radical, meaningful change that we need, but they will get us at least, you know, kind of to the route closer to that. But if anything, they've literally been doing everything to reverse that and stop that and try to stifle it, just like the rest of them. And honestly, what makes it worse is that they pretend to, you know, be fighting for this shit. So, you know, they make excuses even more so than the corporatists do, who are openly about it. I mean, that's honestly what makes it even more disgusting to me. Because then you're just, you know, getting easily impressioned, you know, progressive and lefty types, you know, to just believe, like, oh yeah, well, you know, they have, like, some grand 4D chess maneuvering going on, bro, it's okay. Just stick with the plan, guys. Friends like this, who needs enemies? Exactly. Basically. I mean, it's like, you know, they might not necessarily have taken money or, you know, like, or, you know, corporate funds and shit like that, but, you know, honestly, I would say that there are some that have, for sure. AOC literally fundraised for fucking corporatists. You know, and, you know, saying that as guys of, you know, fundraising for progressives and shit, even though they were, like, a majority of the people that she was fundraising for were literally out and out corporatists bought known by lobbyists. It's just like, what? I thought you were the whole, like, I don't take corporate money gal. Evidently, you're a fucking lying little snake. As unfortunately as they are. Like, how am I supposed to trust these motherfuckers when this is what they do? Stab us in the back over and over again and then make excuses to why they did, to try to justify it. It's like, what?
The lever really spelling out the betrayal and selling out of the left of the party and the progressive movement by Pramila Jayapal and the Congressional Progressive Caucus. He tweeted yesterday, let's be clear, this is very likely Pramila Jayapal selling out the entire movement because of her unbridled ambitions to get a fancy but meaningless leadership title among a House Dem caucus that will be obliterated in the midterm elections, a total betrayal on every level. And it's even worse than that because she's not even going to be successful in getting the fancy title, right? Like, the corporate wing of the party, it doesn't matter how much you guys suck up to them, how many little pats on the head you get from Pelosi or from Ron Klain or from Biden himself. They see you as an enemy to be destroyed. That's why the corporate wing of the party went...
I feel like that's where she gets it wrong a little bit. It's like, they view it in partiality like that, but they only view that if they can't fucking bend them to their will. If they could bend them to the will, then they're seen as useful tools for their continuation of their fucking, you know, exploitation and shit. So it's just like, if they can't fucking bend them, then they'll destroy them, you know, politically speaking. But, you know, if they're willing to, you know, be bent and, you know, concede and actually kind of work with them to some degree, as a lot of them have, then they're willing to keep them around. If anything, they're very useful at that point. Extremely useful.
To back Shontel Brown and make sure Nina Turner never made it to Congress. And so if you are now just lining up with them, like, just drop the label. Stop pretending. I wish you'd just be honest about what you are at this point.
Yes.
You know,
See, that's why it's useful. That's why I said it's very useful, because this shit right there. Because it makes this like, oh, you know, like, to the people that do know, It's like, yeah, I wish they'd be fucking honest, but that's the point. That is the whole point. Like, that's why the corporatists, see it as two ways. If they can't, bend them and make them very useful tools, to make a facade out of it, then they'll take them out. So they can make sure that they have people who will play the facade. That's the whole point. Like, it's like, that's, I think, where Crystal gets it wrong a little bit, but it's only really a half wrong. It's not even really necessarily she was wrong. It's more or less she's just missing a really key factor that I think is very important to it. Because that's why. Like, the reason why she's not honest about it is because, she's using that as a facade. Because she's a corporatist. Like, I mean, hence why Chantal Brown's also in the Progressive Caucus and also part of a corporatist caucus as well. So it's just like, I mean, it's not because they just don't stand for nothing. It's a perfect facade to make other people who barely, follow politics to think, oh, progressive? Oh, I like them. I'm progressive. It's very easy for, the more lemming types, people, not to dog on them, but, the people that don't, pay attention that much, to think, oh, well, they're progressive, what's wrong with them? If they support, progressive ideas, and I support progressive ideas, then surely they are for that. It's like, no, they're not. It's like they're for the, corporatist agenda, which isn't for that shit. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if anything, it's just more of an addendum to their analysis, really. I mean, at least crystal balls. I mean, I think it's just, a very key point. Because it's just like, I mean, if they were to outright, utterly destroy the entire Progressive Caucus, then you would just have a far more radically angry left. Because they wouldn't have this sense of representation in the party. But because of their being useful tools for them, then it at least, could keep up a facade. And thus have more lefty infighting. Works for them, so why wouldn't they do it?
Sirota points to...
I mean, at least to me, it's pretty fucking obvious they are.
His piece out at the Lever this morning is what you said, Kyle, about Build Back Better, and how after the Virginia election results come in and Glenn Youngkin, spanks Democrats, they get all freaked out. Oh, the media starts saying, oh, it's all the left's fault, et cetera, and they immediately cave. But even before that, they completely caved and abandoned their principles on the $15 minimum wage. Recall that when Bernie endorsed Joe Biden, the one thing that he got as like an agreement out of Joe was $15 minimum wage. That was the...
Which is honestly one of the disappointments about Bernie, because, it's like, maybe he had like a legitimate, honest, perspective and view that he maybe, at least out of anything, he would do that. But it's just like, I mean, it was just definitely, miscalculation on his part that I think is just disappointing, that he thought would work. But at least, out of, the people in our gov, at least, Bernie, I actually do legitimately see as honest. So I can at least look at him and be like, all right, like, I might disagree with, how he might have came to the overall conclusion, but, like, fuck, at least I know he's, making it on his own personal merit.
The moment there was any resistance to that whatsoever, the Congressional Progressive...
But the rest of these motherfuckers, I mean...
Top priorities immediately abandoned ship, and now it's not even being talked about. I mean, it's, like, completely fallen out of the national discourse. Something that would be great for the population, is overwhelmingly popular, is a core progressive principle. So, listen, I would say it's a mask-off moment, but the truth is the mask has been off for a while now. Under Pramila Jayapal's leadership at the beginning, we got some words about, we're going to take a more hard line, we're going to be more organized, we're going to really focus on, just having true progressives in the caucus. That is all long gone.
That was bullshit from the start.
Clearly, the true goal that she has in mind is whatever her own personal aspirations and individual ambitions are here, and it's a fucking shame.
So let me ask you this question, because I really think it comes down to this.
Ooh, there was a little spice to that. Yo, we gotta hear her say that again. Ooh. I'm starting to love Crystal Ball a little bit, not even gonna lie.
Personal aspirations and individual ambitions are here, and it's a fucking shame.
So let's...
Oh, I love the way she says that. It's a fucking shame. Dude, she sounds like a fucking seriously angry, like, teacher that is just really wanting to discipline you. Like, she wants to go fucking, like, teacher Dom mode on you, bro. Like, she wants to go, like, teacher Dom mode on people. Damn, bro. There was some spice to that. Oh. I can see why. I can see why Kyle's with her now.
In terms of what's going on in her head, what's going on in...
I think I'm starting to see what Kyle likes out of a woman.
heads of all these so-called congressional progressives. That, look, I'm an honest actor. I really care about these policies that I virtue signal like I care about.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I'm trying to play the inside game and get the wins that I can, and in order to do that, I have to appease Pelosi and stay on our good side, and this is one of those ways in which I'm appeasing Pelosi to stay on our good side. And ultimately, I'm a sucker because even though, I might think Pelosi is going to give me the speakership position, she's not going to give it to me. Like, that's one possibility. The other possibility...
Doubt it.
...is...
Press X to doubt.
You know what I mean? Like, there really is, it's long gone, the idea that they really care about the $15 minimum wage and Medicare.
That sounds more accurate.
Because the fact of the matter is, if you really did care about those things, there's no question you would back Mina Turner. It's not a question.
Right.
Because you have somebody who's a flat-out opponent of those things who you're now endorsing. I mean, guys, they didn't even make the political calculation of, like, I'm just going to stay out of the race because I prefer Nina, but Shontel Brown is already here. They didn't even do that. They are endorsing Shontel.
Honestly, even then, that still kind of ticked me off because, like, it just makes them look more like do-nothings, which honestly would still enforce my overall idea about who the fuck they are now at this point. Like, that would still kind of tick me off if they just kind of stood out of it.
That tells me that really what it all comes down to, particularly for Pramila Jayapal, is I want to climb the ladder of the party. I want to get the big title. I think Pelosi...
And honestly, it's just like, I know that's definitely a major factor of it. Same with AOC, Jayapal. Like, a lot of them have, like, shown themselves to be this way. And it's just like... I mean, what the fuck do they really think they're gonna be able to do and get out of it? Like, getting up, the career ladder and shit. Like, what, do they really think that if they just kind of slowly but surely work their way up the career ladder, they could, like, somehow, do some weird, like, 8D chess maneuver, like, co-option of the party? Like, what, do you think the corporate establishment's that stupid? Like, I mean, if there is, like, some weird Machiavellian, like, 4D, like, chess maneuver shit going on, like, what the fuck do they really think they're gonna be able to do with that? Like, they're still not going to be able to have any power. Like, even if there's a granted given of that, where there is, some possibility of, like, some, Machiavellian, like, maneuvers going down, and shit, like, there ain't no way, like, the establishment is, like, basically, like, built and, like, bred on that shit. Like, they're gonna see it, and they're gonna be able to sniff shit like that out, from, like, Mars. Like, they're gonna be able to be like, I smell Machiavellian schemes out of Mars. Quick, we need to colonize it and stop it. You know what? That's probably why Elon Musk is going there. So it's just like, I mean, it's just like they can sniff that shit out from, like, like 5,000 miles away. Like, you're really gonna be able to, like, create, like, some weird progressive scheme or some shit? Fuck no. You have to just be all out and be in the open with it and shit. Because there ain't no reason to, try to be, like, hidden about it. And then just piss off, some of your lefty constituents of the country. Because, you're just playing into their fucking game more. Or at least that's what it looks like, if that's what their actual intents are and shit. But nonetheless, they're just still playing to their fucking hand.
Do me favors if I do her favors, and so that's why I'm doing this. But in the process of doing that, what they don't understand, Crystal...
Like, they're basically just doing Clinton, politics instead of doing, like, FDR, LBJ politics and shit, where they were at least a little bit more in the open, and in the backroom deals, they were fucking twisting arms and making sure they were, fucking getting people by their ears and making sure they were fucking compliant.
Not a single fucking progressive in the country who even pays a little bit of attention is ever going to trust you again. And they shouldn't trust you again. Because you keep proving, like...
Good.
Yeah, I'm really your ideological enemy. And to your point, I think the reason why it hurts so much is because, at least with some of, like, the Blue Dog Democrats, there's never even any pretending that they're on your side.
Right.
Here you have the, like, no, we're with you. And then they do something like this.
Because to my earlier point, is because it's a fucking facade. Like, they're just a part of the same corporate class as much as the Blue Dogs, but they have a facade under their shit to try to imply that they're, quote, progressives. That's why, when it comes to progressives or, more radical, like, lefty types in the Democratic Party, it's more of an exception to the rule. Like Katie Porter and Ilhan Omar, and maybe, like, one or two others that I can't, think of right off the top of my head. Like, maybe they're, like, some of the actual, like, principled ones out there, but not really many of them are. Like, because pretty much the rest of them aren't. They're a part of, the whole scheme themselves, whether for their own narratives and agenda and shit, for their own careerism, or, to just make sure the status quo stays in line. Either way, status quo, keeps chugging. Lobbyists and bankers, CEOs keep making money.
Like a fake argument in that vein.
No.
So it's just absolutely pathetic. Look, I don't do this often, but I will say, everyone should tell, Camilla Jai-Paul, be respectful and everything, but just tell her how you feel about this. Shit. Call her office and say, I'm really let down and heartbroken that you would endorse that you would endorse Chantel Brown over Nina Turner. Tweet her, say, I can't believe you did this, this is a betrayal. Be respectful, don't ever under any circumstances do any threats or anything like that. But,
sure.
Look, make some noise. Let them know we're fucking watching you. And here we are right
Honestly, at least to me, I'd say let them know that you're pissed and you're angry. Like, go ahead and, have a little sense of vulgarity, but, like, don't be, like, outright venomous and threatful. Just let them know you're fucking pissed. Because, they need to. Like, that type, like, especially if they really do truly in some weird, like, Machiavellian way, are trying to get these issues through, but are just trying to climb the ladder to have more power to do so, or whatever the fuck, they need to know that it ain't it. They need to, the self-reflection to realize, a little bit that it ain't it. Because honestly, I will say, I think it's possible that, these type of, progressive caucus types, have a, element to redeem themselves, like AOC, Rokan and shit. Like, if they want to, like, they actually need to, like, be a little self-reflective and realize, what, our shit just ain't it. We need to, like, really rethink and probably actually just be more hardline. And I don't know what the fuck they're waiting for, because like, and honestly, I don't buy that they will actually have that unless, there's enough pressure on them for it. Because realistically, at this point, it's just been proven over and over and over and over again that they don't have any of that. They've left that, at the fucking primaries and shit before they got elected.
Where Joe Biden has a historically low approval rating of 33%. A poll just came out showing that. He is now more unpopular with young people than Trump was with young people at this point in
the same exact poll.
Honestly, there's probably a reason for that. Because, one, at least we knew what the fuck Trump was. And at least when it came to very, very exceptional things like foreign policy and not being, like, outright an utter fucking warmongering psychopath. Like, he did a little bit. Like, there was the Moab that he dropped on basically just a random fucking mountainside that was formerly CIA built, like, tunnels and shit from the 80s. So it's like, okay. Like, that was just more like what, that was just worthless more than anything. I don't even, like, did anyone even die in that? I don't even remember. I just know we dropped that for some reason. It was like, yeah, Moab, drop it, boom. It's just like, we did that. And he did start the pullout in Afghanistan, and I mean, so this, at least, like, foreign policy-wise, like, there's actually, like, some shit where it's not, like, as warmongery and horrible and fucked up, in comparison to other presidents. Like, I mean, it's not really saying much, like, by really any metric, but it's a little bit. I mean, what else? Like, there was, like, the carrier deal thing, but that was more like a quarter measure thing because still a lot of that was outsourced anyway. It only really helped, like, only a couple thousand people versus, like, the tens of thousands he was claiming it would. So that was literally more of, like a quarter measure or, like, a fifth measure or anything or something. So it's not, like, not even. But, it's like, like, just a little squeak. So it's just like, there's probably, it's like people can at least look at maybe, like, one or two and maybe at most, like, 3 or 4 things and be like, okay. But with Biden, there's only, like, at most, like, really, like, two things I can think of. Like the continuous, like, you know, exemptions for this whole tax or student loan debt bullshit. And then, the fucking continuation and finishing up of the pulling out of Afghanistan, which that also kind of got drawn back anyway because he fucking started, you know, sanctioning fucking food to Afghanistan. Now there's millions of people in Afghanistan starving. So it's just like, you know, so it's just like he did a good thing only to just basically negate on it by starving the fuck out of the people that live there. It's like, oh, great. So, you know, he's not, you know, even he's not even, like, you know, good for policy, you know, and shit. And if anything, you know, it's just like, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's like, for fuck's sake. I mean, you know, and you also have this whole, like, war and shit that's going on, too. You know, inflation, you know, that's, you know, where all these fuck corporations are taking just massive advantage and price gouging the fuck out of people and using it as an excuse. Like, you have all these fucking things, you know, labor's on the rise and shit, and Biden's just been kind of sitting on the sidelines doing kind of really nothing besides just kind of saying, like, yeah, workers should have the right to do that, and, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, such a pro-worker, blue-collar, you know, Scranton Jack you are, you fuck. Just like, yeah, like, I mean, at this point, you know, it just seems a little bit more obvious that, yeah, young people, Biden's significantly more unpopular, because the whole idea was, oh, he's better than Trump at least. And if anything, shit stayed relatively the same or have gotten worse. I mean, fuck, even, like, I think Trump even gave more stimulus money to fucking people, like, $400 or $600 more in comparison to Biden, when they probably could have just kept doing that on a monthly basis until the end of this year or some shit. Like, that alone would have been, you know, a significant bump up in popularity, like, at least by 10, like, just constantly, you know, no matter what. It would probably be more like, you know, 40-something at his all-time low, because if people are getting, even if it's like, you know, maybe $400 a month or something like that, you know, every month until the end of 2022, that's still fucking something. Like, that would at least, you know, be something. Like, and that would actually, you know, even for some people like me, like, that shit would help. It's like, yeah, you know, to keep these stimulus checks going, you know, we'll give every American, like, $400, $500 a month or something like that for every month until the end of 2022, you know, to kind of help people kind of keep going in a very struggling economy and shit like that. But, like, you know, like, there's a way where, you know, even though it's not a lot, I mean, $400 to $500 a month does go a long way for that month. It really does. Like, that's just a little bit more than my current paychecks right now until the wage increases. So it's just like, I mean, like, that would help. You know, so it's like, even just small little things like this would actually boost his fucking popularity, but he's done, you know, he's done very little, Jack. He's done nothing but malarkey, Jack. We're gonna take him out in the gym and show him what's for. $978 a month. Imagine if, like, there was a monthly stimulus check of, like, even if it's like $400 a month. You know, it's like, that would be a lot more significant, and, you know, it actually would help you a lot too. And honestly, the fact that you barely make $1,000 a month is actually kind of like, what? I mean, I guess it's Alabama, you know, the cost of living there is probably a lot more cheaper. Would be life-changing? Yeah. It would be for anybody, unless they make a certain amount of income. Like, if you make a pretty decent, comfortable amount of income, you know, $500 to $600, you know, even for, you know, something like that isn't really going to be that much. It's going to be like, oh, cool, a little extra side money to, you know, put into a cool little toy or something, you know, or whatever the fuck. But for, you know, more of the working class and the, you know, people in poverty and the poor, that's going to help them significantly when it comes to things like debts, groceries, paying the bills, all that shit. And maybe actually having, like, you know, saving a little bit of cheddar on the side to actually, you know, have a little treat for themselves. You know, that, you know, maybe could be considered a luxury to them that, you know, for a lot of people might, you know, be just as simple little like, hey, we're just going to go travel to another state. Why not? I mean, honestly, at least for me, I still can do shit like that. Like, if I wanted to, like, I can take a weekend, you know, to go to, you know, out of state for, you know, a while if I wanted. But, you know, for a lot of people, like, they really can't do that shit. I mean, even then, I couldn't do that often. It would be more of, like, you know, every couple months or every, like, 4 or 5 months I could do that. So it wouldn't necessarily be, like, you know, a constant thing. But Washington's, like, pretty much across the river, and Montana is pretty close. You know, I just have to get through Idaho, the shithole state. You know, so it's just, like, I mean... You know, like, it's, you know, it's like, I mean, I have ways where I can get around, and hell, even just traveling in my own state, but still, you know, it's just like, a lot of people don't got the cash for that shit at all, but having a little extra $500 or $600 a month, you know, people can save up for a little bit like that, because people should, you know, if they want to, should be able to do that whenever the fuck they want. Like, if, you know, like, because obviously in my utopian scenario, like, if people want to be like, yeah, I just want to, like, take a month to travel around the country, you know, it's like, all right, you can get an RV and fucking, you know, rent one out for however much, you know, like, depending on your RV or what you need or what you're looking for, and then, boom, there you go, just return it when you're done. You know, it's just, like, just shit like that. Oh my god, Zuka found a fly, he's trying to get it. Trying to get a fly? I was wondering what he was doing, but I saw, like, something flying around. Oh, there it is. It's over here. It went over here, bro. Yeah, there it is. Little goof. But, yeah. But to get back to kind of into the baseball field a little bit, I mean, it's just like, there's kind of a reason why Biden's popularity is so fucking low. It's because, you know, these tiny little basic little things, you know, that he could easily do. Even shit that he could be done with a sign of a pen, like descheduling marijuana and shit. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that could just easily be done, you know, without, you know, having to, you know, like, wait for Congress or the judiciary to do some shit. I mean, you could just fucking do it. And honestly, like... What feels fucked up is that if this was Biden, like, even if it was, like, 10 years ago, like, if this was, like, Vice President Biden, you know, back in Obama era days, you know, we were dealing with, a fucked up thing is that I feel like he would actually do some shit like this, but because he's a dimensional out of fuck, he's just, his staffers are just handling shit, and they're, you know, off doing all sorts of other shit, so they ain't, you know, making, you know, Biden do this shit. A great governor of Alabama raised the gas tax and pissed everybody off for it. And Greg Abbott is basically stopping literally every single truck coming into Texas. So now pretty much so now a lot of people in Texas are pissed off. Because when it comes to the supply chain, all that does is back it the fuck up. Because usually, I remember Mornax showing me that video with that Texan. And that dude was saying, like, it, on average, you know, could get, like, you know, 8 to 10, you know, trucks in, you know, like, on the daily or whatever, but now they can barely even get one. It's scary and hilarious. I see ads every now and then for that shit, and yes, it is actually fucking scary and, yeah, kind of hilarious. But honestly, it's just like, these motherfuckers should just not be allowed to fucking run. And how much you want to bet that, like, you know, half of those motherfuckers that are running are unironically pedophiles? I'm just convinced that, like, a massive chunk of the GOP are just pedophiles at this point, just considering that there is just, like, currently multiple, like, actual, like, pedophiles in the GOP and the Republican Party, including Matt Gaetz. Like, that fucking creature, Matt Gaetz, like, ugh, what a fucking just wretched animal. Like, I mean, he just needs to be a mere, you know, specimen to study, and then once he's done, just, you know, take him in the barn out back. It's just like, you know, it's fucking like, what a weaselly, disgusting, slithery, slimy little creature he is. Ugh. Like, he actually makes me sick. This party of snakes, they'll gladly slander one another to get ahead. My God. I know there's a meme about leftist infighting, but, I mean, people need to kind of see what the Republican infighting's like, because god damn, that shit's insane. Like, it just is. I mean, I kind of know what you mean, and it's just crazy. I mean, you've got some of these more Trumpian styles. You got the moderate Republicans that are basically just the equivalent of blue dog Democrats as well. And you got, like, these fucking, like, kind of like, I'm radical, but I'm also kind of moderate and being civil about it. You know, it's just like, yeah, I mean, you got, like, these weird, like, micro factions in the bigger faction, and it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, honestly, it's just like, people say there's a lot of, like, you know, lefty infighting amongst Democrats, but it's just like, not really. I mean, they have their factions, but they're all pretty unified. You know, it's mostly the radical elements, you know, of the party that are, but they're like so insignificant as a micro faction that it's just not even barely worth mentioning. A lot of the lefty infighting is outside of that shit. Usually in, like, you know, internet and, you know, like, actual in real life discourse and shit. I've seen ads for this Trumpist Republican trying to run for governor, calling our current Alabama governor a socialist, telling me, what SK have you done as socialist? My god, dude, I think I was, I remember seeing it on stream, but there's this there's this dumbass bitch running for governor in Oregon who's just like, not only do I think, you know, we shouldn't have, you know, light rail, you know, expansions, I'm actually against it. And also, I'm against pedestrian and, like, bicycle lanes and shit like that as well. It's just like, what the fuck is this? Like, you literally are running for governor in Oregon, where Portland is in, and you're gonna be, like, literally like, yeah, fuck your light rail, bro. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get far. Like, oh my god. I mean, like, we get our fair share of some dumbasses too, dude. I mean, it's pretty funny. And of course, she's, you know, in the Republican Party. So she's one. I don't know why she thinks she's going to be able to get anywhere close to victory, even amongst Republicans with that shit. I'm not even kidding. Like, Republicans might be like, oh, those damn bike lanes, pedestrian, but, like, as soon as they start seeing all that light rail, they're all like, oh, I mean, you know, they don't like it once it goes out in the world shit, but when they're in the city and don't want to deal with all the fucking, like, weird bicyclists in the roads and shit, they take the light rail. I mean, it's just like, goddamn. I mean, that's why Portland has, like, a decent amount. Hey! I mean, that's why Portland has shut up! Hey!
Trash hombres!
Oh.
Doesn't man. I'm not gonna be here that long.
Oh, I just dropped something off?
Yeah, I'm dropping off my new alternator and my new fucking...
oh my god, Zukov! You could just chill out.
New alternator. And then... What's up, buddy? And my new jack.
Ah. Oh, you got new jack?
Yeah, I'm tired of powering everyone else's.
Oh,
that way I can jack the fucking car up and fucking park it straight.
Nice.
Boy, will you fucking quit? Come on, you can come out for a minute.
Yeah. He's Bukov. Yes, Bukov. That was very unexpected, but I'm okay with that. He did say it was going to be over by the weekend, but it's Friday. It's not a weekend yet. But well, whatever. I did tell him this was my day off, so that's probably why he's taking advantage of it. But anyway, well, that was what I was saying. It's like, I mean, like that's why, you know, people around here like the light rail and shit, because it's just like, I mean, it's actually fucking useful. Same thing with all this other pedestrian shit, and like bicycle lanes and pedestrian lanes and shit. Like, and honestly, it's like a lot of that type of shit is mostly just like, you know, expanding and updating like sidewalks and roads that don't have bike lanes to be expanded so they do, and shit like that. Like, I mean, the fucking road that's down here and shit that's been worked on for a while now just finally got some of the sidewalk stuff in place, so now they're actually going to get the actual, like, sidewalk parts, you know, in there and all that shit, on top of everything else. Like, I mean, that's what the fuck that type of shit means. I mean, you know, on top of, like, yeah, if there's, like, you know, some neighborhoods and shit that have some parks, yeah, there might be, like, some pedestrian walkways that, you know, kind of cut through, you know, different little areas that aren't necessarily, like, at roads and shit like that. Or just have, like, you know, pedestrian-only roads and shit. Like, I mean, those exist. Like, I mean, Europe has plenty of those. I mean, they work totally fine. I mean, if anything, you know, especially for certain parts of neighborhoods and shit, they're actually great, you know, because all you have to do is just, like, kind of walk into one little area where, like, the little neighborhood, like, parking lot areas where all people's little cars are and shit, and they just, you know, go and just, you know, go over to where that is, drive around, or just keep walking wherever the fuck, you know, depending where they're going. I mean, in Reykjavik, when I remember going down there, they had a few of those, and it's pretty cool. Like, it's actually kind of a nice little, like, cozy little town. I mean, it's pretty dense, and actually pretty, like, most of Iceland's population is, I think, in Reykjavik alone, and all in all, despite being, you know, kind of small, it's actually pretty cozy and, you know, and everything, you know, despite it being all nice and tight-knit. So, I mean, it's because of all the pedestrian roadways and shit. Because they accommodate for that. It's like, goddamn. Like, I mean, you know, like, take the hint. I don't know. I think the governor's name's like or the candidate's name is Betsy something, but she is just an idiot. Just for that alone, it's like, yeah, railway, light rails, pedestrian stuff, boo. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, what? An idiot. All I know is that I can absolutely confidently say that she will never win. Not even in the primary. Because I fucking know Republicans, even, that would support light rail, pedestrian roadways and shit. Because they'll see it as a way to expand commerce in the economy. It's like, oh yes, expand the light rail, you know, from Portland to these other smaller towns and blah, 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 blah. Expands commerce. Yes. Suddenly they all see the money and the green on it, and they're all like, ooh, I want that. That's why, you know, some Republicans and some conservatives have been jumping on the weed bandwagon, at least in the electoral side of things, because see the green in it. I guess green as into dollars, but still. Anyway. Yeah, honestly, I think we've seen all I have to see with this vid. But I want to check out this Christmas Smalls on Fox, because I know this has been kind of a whole big thing. I don't know, like, I've seen some hooplas about this, but, yeah, I don't know 100%. You know, about, like, you know, everything about it. I just know that he went on here and all that shit, so he want to make money off the legalization of cannabis. And you know what? Honestly, I'm fine with that. Like, cause, like, look how, like, honestly, I mean, a lot of the reason why, you know, some of this infrastructure has been able to get built up is because, you know, it's not that these projects, you know, are just suddenly popping up. They've been wanting to be done for a while. The problem was the money. But because now it's been, you know, some time since marijuana's been legalized in Oregon on top of these other legal states, there's been some shit getting done in these states. Like, at least especially when it comes to certain things like infrastructure, at least around here and shit. It's not just because of weed legalization. There's other factors to it. But at least when it comes to one major player, especially when it comes to the money aspect of things, yeah, like, there is. And honestly, it's just like, sure. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I want their states to make money off of it. I mean, like, honestly, like, the southern states especially, like, need it more than anything. Because I guarantee you, like, especially with their fucking, like, hard drug epidemic problems and poverty issues amongst shit, weed, you know, just being absolutely legal and shit would help not just boost their economy a little bit, but help, you know, be a better alternative of escapism for people. So it's just like, but over time they'll start seeing the seeds, you know, blossoming out of, you know, in their economy and their infrastructure and their economic statuses as things start being built up again, because their states are starting to make a bunch of money. But honestly, it's just like, I mean, they would definitely take a lot more advantage if, you know, the feds would just fucking, at the very least, decriminalize it. because then, you know, there could be a possibility of legal states to export into these other states. Which would also make us more money, but would also help them too. So it's just like, at least at that point, it would be like a beneficiary factor, you know, on both ends on that. So it's just like, either way, I mean, it just needs to fucking happen. But, gotta take a quick little toke and see about this whole fun little thing. Oh my god, dude, look at that fucking rat face. Ugh. Jeez, did they, like, change the lighting to make him look more ominous or something? Like, oh my god. Ugh. Ugh, he looks exceptionally punchable today.
So Christian Smalls went on Fox News and talked to Tucker Carlson, and this is creating quite a firestorm. So first of all, shout out to Case Study QB for getting this clip for us. Now, I want to play it for you, and you're going to understand why the people who are going after Chris 100% did not listen to the interview. Or if they did, then they are just lying about what happened. Okay.
So, I was kind of saying at the very beginning of the stream a little bit, like the first 10 minutes, but like, when it comes to like lefties or like, especially like labor organizers, you know, going on more like right adjacent shows, or people like Marianne Williamson going on, you know, right adjacent shows, like, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. Like, I mean, it depends on the show, I suppose. Like, if you're going on like the equivalent of like GF Gotta Pay or some shit like that, where like talking to like literal Nazis or some shit, that could be a little, I could definitely see, you know, they're just kind of inherently being a little bit of an issue. Unless you're just strictly, you know, the exception of the rule, just strictly there to fuck on them. And for some reason they just kind of sit there and take it and try to fight back against you before they boot you at some point. I don't know. But like, there, you know, honestly, at that point there would be like exceptions to the rule at that point. Oh, Zukov doing some stupid shit out there. Oh god. Probably is. Let's see.
Oh, fuck, that thing is heavy.
Hey, fancy looking. Zukov!
Fuck, man, yeah, fucking jack's heavy as balls of the 3-ton jack.
Hey, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Boo-ba.
I'll be back over tomorrow.
Alright, man. Well, look.
I'm like, didn't have
Zuka?
enough, I did not have enough money to get all the fucking parts I needed. So I'm still short of fucking battery. And
because your buddy unfortunately busted it that night.
Yeah, fuck him. Fuck it.
You know, honestly, I was kind of half tempted to be like, you want me to carry that? You know, for meaning that for the battery.
I know, right?
I should have, because honestly, why did I? Because I felt like something was going to happen, and it did.
It doesn't matter. I'll get the batteries in the belt. Fucking another paycheck.
Yeah.
Alright, later.
Alright, later, man. Cool. A little drive-by Harley. With a double tap. Oh, little bye-bye. Look at you. Little Uncle Harley came by to visit. Now you're all excited and happy. Well, now you're all anxious because you're wondering where he went. Oh, bye-bye. Here. I'll give you these nutrients. I haven't given these. Alright, I'll give him this and we'll start up on the bitch. Oh my god, I seriously want to punch Tucker Carlson's face. Oh my god, like, ugh, man. What a... Ugh. Anyway.
Let's watch everybody go into it with an open mind, and we'll see whether or not he did a good job.
Sandy Cortez spends a lot of time telling you that she's on the side of the worker. She's like a modern wobbly. She's the Walter Reuther of our day.
Wait. Who says she's a modern wobbly? Oh my god, look at the fucking photo they used for her, dude. Look, I don't like AOC, but goddamn, even I wouldn't like go so far as to find like the most absurd photo of her with the most like bug-eyed look on her face. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my god. My lord. But who calls her a modern wobbly or a Walter Roomberg? What? I'm literally I've never heard anyone say that, like, ever. Honestly, I'm trying to think who could, like, out of, like, any of our current contemporary politicians, who could be, like, considered a modern wobbly. Like, maybe Nia Turner, because she actually is, like, fucking been at, like, labor rallies and strikes and shit, and has, like, actually been to multiple, has constantly, you know, done that shit. But even then, that's kind of a stretch a little bit.
Let me just say real quick, the fact that he calls her Sandy Cortez is so unnecessarily condescending. Like, just call her Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or call her AOC. Like, he's purposefully trying to be smug, and you know what? Mission accomplished, Tucker.
Well, of course, he's smug.
At Amazon Staten Island warehouse, and we're for that because they need the help.
No, you're not. Like, honestly, like, Tucker Carlson's not, you know, for the unionization efforts. He's a union buster. He's, you know, like, he's not for the fucking average worker. Like, this is one of his little propaganda schemes where he tries to, you know, imply that he's for the worker and shit, but he, like, if he is, he's for, like, you know, white male workers and shit, and that's pretty much about it. Like, you know, there's not really much, you know, support when it comes to that.
Sandy Cortez bailed on the whole thing, and that.
Now look, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of backstory now that you don't know, and honestly, I don't even know if I'm supposed to tell you this, but I gotta keep it real. That's what I do. So, Christian and I ate lunch with, Crystal and I ate lunch with Christian Smalls yesterday, and it was actually right after he had taped this interview. And Chris tells us, I spoke to the people who invited me on Tucker's show. It was his staff. It wasn't Tucker himself. Didn't reach out, of course. And basically, Chris said to them, look, I'll come on to talk about the union. I'll come on to talk about organizing, but I'm not really interested in perpetuating this AOC thing. Like, it's over. So, and, you know, the impression that Chris got from...
That's good. Because honestly, it's not about her. Like, it's only about her as far as her, like, stabbing them in the back and shit. But, yeah. That's kind of what he means by it's over, is that, like, yeah, we're just not going to reach out. And, you know, us trying to, you know, garner her support and shit is just over at this point. Like, we're moving on. We're doing our own thing. Like, and obviously, at this point, it's shown that they can have success without her, so there's no need. You know, so it's just like, I mean, at this point, there's there's just no reason to perpetuate or continue this fucking bullshit. I mean, so, you know, he is right. And it is good, and I think it is definitely a very honest and, you know, a very principled thing that he did do that. Because really, fundamentally, it's not, you know, really about her. And it shouldn't be about these fucking politicians, because, you know, fundamentally, you know, unless they're actually going to be there and, you know, support you and, like, you know, be lockstep with you, you know, don't fucking, you know, you think, you know, they got you, or you have their support. Because they don't. They don't support you unless they actually are walking a line with you and actually they're, you know, with you. And so when it's shown that they're not, then there's no point in working with them. You wouldn't go into a show unless I was allowed to take a dump on live TV on Tucker. I mean, like, I would, but I'd be doing it like, you know, how Christian Smalls is, like, honestly probably is going to very likely be doing it here. Like, I just have my assumptions on how he's going to go, and I feel like it's going to be correct.
Okay, fair enough, come on. Now, that's what happened behind the scenes.
Hey.
Now, in front of the scenes, look at how Tucker is setting up the segment on the Amazon Labor Union. He's setting it up from the perspective of AOC bad. So why is Tucker doing this segment?
Oh, hey, Rip, you just missed Harley. Harley did a little drive-by and dropped us some stuff off, and... Apparently he's trying to hype up that terrible infrastructure bill. And honestly, I wonder if, like, that has some role to play with some of the infrastructure that's being built up around here. Because, like, honestly, there's, like, the sidewalks, from my understanding, what I was over here from the construction crews, that part of things should be done within, like, a week or so, give or take. The entire project itself, they're expecting, or at least trying to shoot for June sometime around June. That is city money. Okay. But yeah, honestly, you know, considering that, like, you know, that shit's been going on, you know, and everything, it's very nice and juicy. But yeah, this whole infrastructure bill shit is just ridiculous garbage. I was gonna say, if I had, like, a role to play in, like, some of the shit that I'm also missing, I'm like, well, I mean, I guess it's not, like, utter garbage, but I mean, it just is. You know, it's fucking spam call, bro. Approved well before that infrastructure bill.
What he's doing is exploiting a rift on the left and trying to do divide and conquer. That's his real purpose for doing this. Now, you might say, well, hold on, Kyle. Isn't Tucker just making the exact same criticism that you and Crystal made the other day? There's a very big difference. The difference is, Crystal was doing a good faith criticism where the point of it was, hey, AOC...
You get the spam calls from weird random places too? Yes. I've actually looked into it. Apparently it's like some sort of like thing related to like Chase Bank, but when I've actually, you know, so when looking into it, it's really just like some random ass spam calls, because you can actually look into, like, you know, the caller ID and stuff like that. Like, I found like a little website that did, and it actually had, like, you know, things where people can review it, saying if it's like a good phone number or a bad one. And basically, the majority of them were just like, yeah, spam calls, you know, Chase spam calls, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, I'm honestly, you know, thinking maybe it's just like some sort of weird, like, not actually tied to Chase, but just like looks like it, you know, because it has, I have no fucking idea. But it's annoying. I don't pick them up because it's ridiculous. Because honestly, there's legit no reason for me to be getting these stupid fucking phone calls.
It's high and dry and flaked at the last minute. Next time, please do better. Like, make up for it. Do better. Go to the next Union Drive. Tucker...
I don't even know if I want AOC to do that.
does not have that goal. It's not a good faith criticism. It's a bad...
I mean, she's just, you know, proving herself to be against the worker, so any opportunity to do that shit is just nothing but fucking, you know, celebrity limelight, you know, pandering for herself, to be like, hey, look at me. You know, it's just like, yeah. Like, I mean, at this point, you're just not to be trusted at all, AOC. Like, I mean, at this, you know, at least at this point, you know, I could give a fuck what you're about, because it's shown that you're more of a careerist, like people like Jaya Paul and the entire progressive caucus and shit that are also willing to stand and turn it back. So it's just like, fuck y'all. Like, I'm supposed to fucking trust y'all, and I think that you're, you know, on our side of things when it comes to trying to push, you know, for this type of advocacy.
The whole purpose is to say, AOC bad, Democrats bad, they don't support the workers, let's divide and conquer the left here. But what you're about to see is brilliant, because Chris Smalls doesn't take the bait, and he dismantles it in a gorgeous way.
And infuriated labor organizers who just won a big vote to unionize the Staten Island facility. Now, Amazon is stepping up its effort to crush the union. Amazon has just banned words like union on its employee chat app.
What was that laugh? Spend words like union. Oh my god, I hate his fucking laughter, dude. Oh my god, it actually grates my fucking brain.
Smalls is a union leader at Amazon, and we're happy to have him join us now. Christian, thanks so much for coming on. So were you surprised that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has said...
Dude, that fucking jacket is drip, dude. Low key, though, I want that jacket. That is a fucking sick-ass jacket. Dude, my boy Chris Small got drip, dude. My boy Chris Small's got some drip. Dude, that is a fucking sick jacket. I wish I could see more of that. I wonder if he's worn that on other occasions, because I want to see a full pic of that jacket. That is a nice jacket.
Against the corporation wasn't standing with you at the barricades.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it wasn't just her. It was all of them pretty much. You know, it's not
fair.
You know, I don't want it to make it just between us and AOC because you know, a lot of them didn't show up. And, you know, once again, we have no ill will against them. We know that whether they showed up or not, they didn't make or break our election. We just...
Boom. Here's why that is absolutely pitch perfect. When he says, look, it's not just about AOC. None of the politicians showed up. And then he goes on to say, and I don't have any ill will towards any of them. What Christian is doing there is he's saying, look, when we criticize, when there's like an internal left fight or disagreement, the point is, hey, please do better next time. Like, show up for us next time. Make amends. Like, let's get together and actually try to get this thing accomplished. Try to get more people in the union. So he's not making it, you know, a bitter personal feud or a I'm going to shame you harder than you can shame me fest. His eyes are on the prize. He's focused on the goal. He's focused on making unions bigger. He's focused on getting people higher wages and better benefits and more vacation time. Tucker's just trying to make it a personal beef thing. Tucker's just trying to divide and conquer the left and exploit the rift. And Chris Smalls 100% did not take the bait. His initial response was, look, this isn't just about AOC. None of them showed up, including Tucker, your beloved Republican politicians who you oftentimes simp for.
Had to
I
continue.
mean, if anything, it's just like, you know, to show that, like, hey, you know, I'm just more about trying to just get this type of shit through, and I don't really give a fuck about, you know, the whole, like, you know, politician aspect of things. You know, it didn't make or break our shit. I mean, it just kind of shows that, you know, like, just the general confidence of, you know, his own, you know, ideas of what he's trying to push forward. You know, that alone can, you know, make a lot of, you know, Tucker's viewers be like, And it's just like, maybe we should look, you know, I should check this type of thing out, you know, whatever the fuck. You know, because, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a break, you know, from the typical, like, oh, those damn Dems, oh, those goddamn commie radicals, oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like a little bit of a different sea change. It's like, huh. You know, it's like, hey, yeah, my boy works at Amazon. He says it's kind of shitty. You know, blah, 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 blah. You know, maybe this actually would be kind of good. You know, or, like, there's different little things, you know, like that, you know, could, you know, sway, you know, people a little bit just on even that type of little thing alone.
It's just, it's a weird moment.
There was a jump cut there. I don't know if you guys noticed that. This video is from Case Study QB. I don't know if this is the whole interview. I don't know if Case Study QB did that jump cut or if that was in the actual Fox News interview, but I do know that the interview was pre-recorded. So it's possible that Fox did that jump cut. Anyway, let's continue.
Because, I mean, I'm on the right. I've never been particularly pro-union, but it does seem like...
He says, I'm on the right. I've never been particularly pro-union. Okay, so why are you talking about this, Tucker? So why are you covering this, Tucker? If you're on the right and you're, quote, not particularly pro-union, then why are you talking about this? It's the exact thing I just told you guys. That's why he's covering this. Because he views this as an opportunity to exploit a rift on the left and divide and conquer. That's why he's doing it. But Chris Smalls handled it perfectly, did not take the bait, and he's sticking to his main points, which are about workers, labor unions, better pay, better benefits, etc. And
basically just labor and solidarity.
Honestly, he's dismantling him. But what Tucker's about to say is even more interesting. Because now I'll come back and break this down for you further, but he just said, I'm on the right, I'm not particularly pro-union. But now you're going to hear him say, well, I'm kind of rooting for you. Okay. I'll explain why he's rooting for Chris after watch.
Really?
Amazon needs some counterbalance. Like, it's this huge company, the workers have no power, and maybe we could, I don't know, share a little power with the people who work there. So that's my view.
That sounds a little bit like socialism there, Tucker. What are you, a communist?
Be the case all across the country, Tucker? Should that be for every corporation? Should that be for every company?
Yeah.
You can't say I'm not particularly pro-union and then say those things. You should be pro-union.
This feels incredibly slimy because it's Tucker Carlson.
These things would
apply. But it's not about Tucker Carlson when it comes to, you know, sticking to your fucking guns and shit.
Apply to all the workers throughout the country, but he doesn't support that. And again, I'll explain why at the end, because he actually accidentally explains why he's taking this particular position on this particular issue and with this particular company.
Anyway, so tell us where you are in your organizing efforts.
Well, right now, we're fighting for a contract. Amazon's disputing the election results. So we're in walking and chewing bubble gum at the same time. We're fighting for a contract. We're preparing for another election in 2 weeks on April 25th. We're going to be voting at a second location directly across the building that we just unionized. So we're in the thick of a fight right now, legal battle.
Yeah, if they're having a new vote right across the street from Amazon, they better, I'm not even going to lie, they better watch out, because there's going to be a lot of fucking union busting, fucking vote rigging type of shit that's going to go on with that fucking union vote. Amazon's going to have their claws all over that shit.
Begin our campaign all over again.
You'd think that Amazon would be...
Another jump cut there, I think I saw.
...open to a union, wouldn't you? It's a very progressive company. Why do you think they're trying to thwart you from organizing?
Oh, my God. I'm curious. I'm actually kind of curious to see what Chris Wall says with this, but oh my God, that slimy shit. That slimy little fuck. It's like, well, Amazon's kind of a progressive company. You would think they wouldn't stop you, so why are they trying to stop you? It's like, Tucker, shut the fuck up.
I don't know if he's actually this dumb or if he's just pretending to be this dumb, but they're not a progressive company.
No, they're not at all.
You signal on, like, identity issues, you think they're a progressive company? You think they're gonna, like, voluntarily pay their workers super well and, give them health care and give them a tremendous amount of paid vacation time? You think that economically they're going to be progressive because socially they act progressive? No, the reason why they act socially progressive is because they think that'll improve their profits.
Yep, cause that's why fucking corporations are always about, different things like identity politics in a lot of ways, whether they're left or right, because that's the way for them to maximize their profits, depending on who's running the company and shit, whether they're more right or left-leaning. If they're left-leaning, they're going to pander to a lot of fucking progressive, socially left type of issues to maximize their profits, and they're more of a right-leaning type of guy, they're probably going to pander to more socially conservative type of views. Like, Chick-fil-A, for example. So it's just like, you got these different fucking, companies that do all their own versions of virtue signal and pandering and shit, but that's just all what it's about. They don't actually give a fuck about the actual, social issues and shit. Like, Amazon doesn't give a fuck about things like queer liberation or anything like that, or the LGBTQ and shit. Like, they only give a fuck about it, in the sense of, just a way to make sure that people like me might buy some stuff from them. It's like, you're gonna need to do a lot more than that there, Amazon.
They care about is their profits, which is why they want to keep wages as low as possible, which is why they want to treat the workers as shitty as possible.
Yep.
Like, the only reason why some corporations have gone, progressive on social issues is because they want a virtue signal and sell to as many people as possible, including, gay people, including women, including trans people, including every minority group under the sun, every religion under the sun. That's why they're socially progressive. Now, look, okay, good. I'm happy that they try to appeal to everybody, but also at the same time...
sure.
It's not because of pure ideological motives, obviously. Like, is he actually baffled? Like, wow, they're a progressive company. I wonder why they're not pro-union. Like... Are you really that dumb, or are you just pretending to be that dumb?
It's like saying that, Starbucks, being kind of a progressive company, is like, oh, why are they so, anti-union shit? It's like, I don't know, because of the motherfuckers that run it, and they're a massive corporation that doesn't want their profits stifled. It's just like, what the fuck do you think, dipshit? It's because of your fucking ideology.
Amazon hasn't been unionized in this country since the beginning of its existence, and they're very anti-union. They created a system that hires and fires people. They created a system that they have full control of the working people, and having a union obviously brings representation for the workers that'll benefit the workers at the bottom, like myself. hourly associate entry-level workers that don't get the right to negotiate. So forming a union gives us the right to collective bargain with the company, form a contract to protect ourselves. So that's exactly what we're trying to do with the Amazon Labor Union. We're hoping that we'll be a catalyst for something that'll take place nationwide.
Well, I certainly am rooting for you.
There's another jump cut there. But honestly, goddamn, that actually was, he actually fucking nailed it there. Like, I mean, he pretty much just stuck to the whole aspect about, you know, the whole efforts of the union and shit. And honestly, it's like, that plants seeds in people. Because honestly, there are dead-ass fucking conservatives that also work in unionized workplaces and shit. And they hear that and they're like, yeah, he's right, because, you know, it's the same thing for me. And if they got, you know, some conservative buddies that aren't necessarily pro-union and shit, they could be like, see, look, you got this guy, you got this fella, he kind of looks like Tupac, you know, he's pro-union. I mean, you know, they're gonna, you know, you're gonna have like some conservative dork like that, but hey, you know, nonetheless, it got through with them. And that, you know, does nothing but help out not just them as working people, but, you know, working class in general. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he actually, you know, kind of has like a little bit of like a Tupac aesthetic going on, but it honestly, I love it. Like, I like the jacket. I don't know what his shirt says, but I like it too. Like, I just like Chris Small's like aesthetic. Like, he's always had some drip. Like, every time I've seen him, he's always got something cool, you know, fucking being dripped out. And I feel like I have seen that jacket multiple times. I just want to see what it actually is and like its totality, because goddamn, that jacket is awesome. But nonetheless, it's just like, I mean, hell, I mean, it's just like, even the fact that he just kind of like is himself and just like, you know, just looks the way he does. I mean, it just kind of shows that he's just like, you know, an average, honest, you know, just type of person. Like, he's not trying to make a veneer of like, yes, I'm just, you know, gentlemanly type of man, you know, whatever the fuck. He's just like, yeah, I'm just out here vibing. You know, like, after I'm done with this, I'm probably gonna, you know, hit up the bar with my buddies and, you know, probably freestyle a little bit or some shit. I don't know. Like, I mean, you know, keep pushing out my labor organization and shit. And probably, you know, throw out some, like, you know, labor tunes and stuff like that. I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know what he does on his free time, but I imagine it's probably labor akin, you know, in a lot of ways. And either way, I absolutely dig and vibe that. So it's just like, I want more of it. But nonetheless, like, especially if there's, like, you know, viewers of Tucker that, you know, are seeing this and, you know, there ends up being, like, a little bit more of a boost of viewership, shit like this, it ends up having a little bit more incentive for Fox to be like, maybe we could put some of these people, you know, on our show a little more. I'm seeing a boost in our ratings when we have these people. I mean, especially if they just kind of stick to the guns like Chris Small's doing. Like, I mean, I think that will legitimately make impacts. You know, it's like you have to kind of look past the slimy, weaselly little rat fuck that people like Tucker are on, you know, on Fox and shit. But I mean, like, in order, especially for things like labor to really make, you know, impacts and influences and shit. I mean, there are people who are conservative who are under the same fucking boat when it comes to labor. I mean, it can't just strictly be a lefty thing. I mean, it's labor's roots is in leftism, but at the same time, you know, like, you know, it's just, I mean, you know, it's just like you have to also get, like, some of these other more conservative type people, because are they not under the same boat, too? I mean, it's like, you know, it helps build these bridges, you know, to where there's a lot of these fucking divides where, honestly, it's just a bunch of artificial bullshit that's perpetrated by the fucking owner class anyway. Like, even if, you know, some of these conservatives legitimately, genuinely, you know, have these, you know, bigoted views and shit, like, one way to help, you know, melt some of that type of shit is if they're on, like, a strike line and one of the fucking workers that, you know, they happen to be hands in hands with is either a black man or a gay person or a trans person or some shit, depending on their flavor of bigotry, I guess. And it's just like, if they're both fighting for the same type of shit, and, you know, one or both of them are getting beaten down or arrested by fucking cops, you know, as they're breaking a strike line or some shit, I mean, suddenly that conservative person or that more bigoted person might just have a little bit more of a different perspective about that person that you formerly were hating. If anything, they're probably going to, you know, feel a little less so. I feel like, you know, if anything, that could be more certainly a different perspective of, you know, for them, you know, when it comes to those type of people. I mean, because that's just one element of contact theory right there. And that's why I think labor is such an important thing, especially when it comes to social issues, too. It doesn't mean, like, you just kind of sit there and suck up to, you know, their bigoted shit, but it just means that, like, when they're not being that way, or it's at least when it comes to your workplaces and shit like that, or just in your average little neighborhood, it's like, there ain't no harm in having like a little talk about, work or some shit like that. At least in this type of context. I mean, I do that even with my, some of my conservative family out in Texas and shit. And if anything, I don't know what their actual opinions are about unions and stuff, to be honest, but they definitely do seem fairly supportive about it from what I've been telling them. So, if anything, especially just, telling that, to my aunts and, that live out there and shit, and they tell that to their kids, amongst other things, being like, yeah, here's how, our kid, kid's been doing, blah, 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 blah. So it's just like, it's just that type of shit. Because I know that some of my cousins that live out, out in Texas and, live and that are more communicative and more connected with my family out there and shit, like, that type of word definitely gets around. So it's just, I mean, hell, even my more non-pro-union dad is legitimately, like, honestly supportive about it because, he knows and understands and sees that, yeah, it's actually, I think he sees that it kind of gives me a sense of a purpose, but also it actually is legitimately been beneficial in a lot of ways. I have a wet pussy at the thought of seeing Tucker Carlson. Ugh. My shrivels up into just a dried Sahara desert. And that makes my pussy moist. I mean, I guess I did myself. I guess, thought of myself would do that. My Confederate loving stepfather's pro-union. Yeah. And that should fucking say some shit. Like, I mean, even, it's like sometimes if you talk to some of these people, you might not even have to try to convince them. They might already have been convinced. They might not necessarily be as radical, so to speak, about it, but there ain't no harm in doing that. Especially when you tell them about, like, some of the history of how, like, unions got a lot of the power they did in the first place, and then how it got taken away, and now why people are fighting as aggressive as they are again about this type of shit. So it's just like, I mean, if there already are to some degree, then it's already just that much easier. So it's just like, that's why it's such, I think it's the biggest intersectional bridge of them all, when it comes to things like intersectionality and shit, because it's just like, one way to, gain solidarity amongst, not just, us as LGBT or the minority groups and, etc., but just as the working class abroad, that's the way to do it. I mean, hell, like a lot of the early foundations of the American labor movement was founded on this type of shit. By a Catholic labor organization, no less. The Knights of Labor. They were very adamant about, things about, like, removing racism, especially within things like the workplaces, and things like, sexism, not just in the workplaces, but in other... It's Sukov! What the fuck? But, like in other places and shit, like, they were very adamant about these type of things. A very egalitarian type of idea, of what they were initially started of, despite being very, majority at least, Catholic. They weren't, like, ran as a Catholic organization, but just the people who founded it and the majority of the members and a lot of how they were structured and even their name was pretty predominantly Catholic-based. But nonetheless, it wasn't like a major important key factor for them. It was just more like, yeah, we just happen to be Catholics, but yeah, egalitarian for everybody. And if you happen to be, like, not Catholic, we don't really care. So that's pretty much how their whole forte was about it.
Cut there. That was
I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the AFL, the Knights of Labor probably would still be a organization and union that would probably exist to this day. But when the AFL came into organized an official type of organization, eventually the Knights of Labor kind of started going, kind of decreasing in popularity, mainly because the AFL, like, not only did what they were doing, but expanded on a lot of the other shit, and also kind of de-religified a lot of their name and shit, which was a lot more appealing to other people. So, I mean, there was a lot of things that kind of play in the role, but if it wasn't for the AFL, I mean, it's likely we probably would still see the Knights of Labor, exist maybe at least a little bit longer than it did. Like, the last chapter was, I think, disbanded in, like, the 40s or something.
rooting for
I
him.
mean, maybe if they throw some more woke slogans at you, you'll forget you can't feed your family.
Right.
Christian, I appreciate your coming on. Thank
yeah.
you very much.
What the fuck was that? Maybe if they'll throw a few more woke slogans at you, they can't. What?
You can't feed your family.
Right.
Christian, I appreciate it.
Oh my god! I just want to shove like. Man, when he does that, I don't even know, but I want to shove something in his mouth. Like not anything that's me. That was a Bushi jab at him. It was a Bushi jab at him. No, it absolutely was. Oh god! And I like how Chris Smalls just like, right, yeah. Chris Smalls actually looked a little fucking pissed at that. Something foul. Like, no, I would not shove my dick in that mouth. Oh god, you think I want my dick to literally burn off with his acid saliva? Hell no. Shove something in there like a triple XL Bad Dragon dildo or something. I don't even think they make triple XL, but god damn it, we'll custom make one just for him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bab.
A hole's a hole. Like his saliva, I guarantee you, is like as acidic as a fucking like acid vat, bro. Like, nah.
Okay, so that last thing he said there about wokeness, like, oh, maybe if they throw some more woke slogans at you, you'll forget you can't feed your family. That is the reason why he's supporting this particular union.
Took off.
He only supports unions when it's quote-unquote woke corporations. And this isn't conjecture. He just told you, I'm generally not pro-union. Okay, so why are you supporting this particular union? He doesn't like Jeff Bezos. He doesn't like quote-unquote woke corporations. And Marco Rubio actually wrote an op-ed on this about a year or two ago, where he said, in no uncertain terms, like, look, I only support unions when the, like, ownership or management is quote-unquote woke. It's like, I want to own the woke managers, and
Basically implying that, like, unions are only good if they're, like, right-wing or something, which is just stupid. Like, I mean, like, the only, like, to me, honestly, in my mind, the only unions that are really, like, legitimately right-wing are, like, law enforcement unions. I mean, outside of that, like, I mean, I find it very hard to think of, like, unions that are right-wing. Just by nature, honestly. Like, yeah, maybe there's a lot of members that could be, but we're talking about, like, the actual union itself. And it's just like, yeah, honestly, military unions exist. Well, fair enough. Military unions, law enforcement unions, I guess maybe, but honestly, like, I doubt it. Like, firefighters unions, maybe. But, I mean, honestly, just by their nature, they're, like, you know, meant to be, like, a beneficial, like, good on society. So, that's not exactly, like, a right-leaning idea. I guess maybe just because maybe there could be, like, you know, union heads that are, like, maybe more conservative-leaning and shit like that, I guess, but, But, I mean, nonetheless, it's just, like, there's not really many of them. I honestly didn't know that military unions exist, so, like, I figured there, you know, would be, like, some sort of organization for, you know, the troops and shit like that, but I didn't think it actually would be, like, you know, just straight up a union, so, that's actually kind of cool. Oh, I wonder if that's what the Legion Post is, because there's, because I, found out about, like, not in the United States. Oh, really? So the U.S. doesn't have them, but other countries do. But other countries, well, god damn it, that's stupid. Maybe, you know, maybe this is like, maybe that should happen, honestly, especially considering how our soldiers get, you know, fucked over by our country, and, you know, in many ways, not just, you know, once overseas, but when they come back home. It's just like, honestly, sounds like something that should be just a long fucking time coming.
and basically punish them, make them pay a little more, make them look after their workers a little bit more. But again, notice, he doesn't support these workers' rights for all the workers in the country.
And that's why Tucker is a fucking slimy, weaselly little shitbag. But at least, you know, fucking, Chris Smalls wasn't taking any of that shit. I mean, if anything, he was saying that he wants to see this, be a catalyst, spreading nationwide. And I don't think he just means Amazon. I think he's implying for workers, of the country. And honestly, let's be honest, he probably means workers of the world. Like, I mean, so it's just like, all in all, I don't necessarily think he's, just talking about Amazon. So it's just like, Tucker's on here being like, I'm not for all the workers, but you got Chris Smalls here being like, well, guess what? I am fuck. I am you literal little rat fuck. With your most fakest laugh ever, like,
he admits it. He says it. Like, okay, so what? You only deserve a labor union and workers' rights and good pay and vacation time and benefits, etc. if you have like a virtue signally boss? I mean, look at how hollow those politics are. That's not a true working class politics. Working class politics, it's a universal approach. It's a broad-based approach. It's about rights. It's about everybody deserves these things. Because these things are the building blocks and the foundation of a good life. But Tucker only supports it when it's to, like, own the wokes. It's so hollow and it's so stupid. But look, hey, at least he's being honest. He's saying, I'm not pro-union, but maybe in this case, okay, because I don't like wokeness. Okay, bro.
At least that laugh's genuine.
Nice politics you got there. So
I'm against woke in every metric, so my politics will be, for the things that are against woke. Support unions to own the woke. I mean, I guess, based? Question mark? I mean, I'm definitely in favor of that, but I'm also in favor of, supporting unions to, own the cons as well. Support unions to not just own the wokes, but to own the cons too. Like, own the libs, the wokes, just own them all. Own all of them. Zukov, what in Samwell's hell, bro? Here, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. Here, okay, I'll let this keep playing because I don't think Kyle will have another thing to play here real quick. I think it'll skate to chat.
Why did Tucker do it? It's no mystery. He wants to divide and conquer the left, exploit the rift, make the left fight amongst themselves. And also, in this particular narrow instance, he could support a union because he doesn't like wokeness and he wants to stick it to, like, the woke owners. But make no mistake about it, Tucker oftentimes support these standard issue establishment Republicans who have the worst possible labor politics. And all the policies they want hurt workers. They're not for a $15 minimum wage. They're not for universal health care. They're not for, paid vacation time by law. So really, it's just a fake populist tap dance that he's engaged in. Now, look, Christian handled this beautifully. He did. He handled it as good as humanly possible. And he was still getting shit. Christian was getting shit on Twitter from some portion, some small-ish segment of the left, where, and by the way, what they did was really disingenuous. So somebody tweeted, I think it was like a screenshot over, hold on, this one. So I think it was this screenshot. It has some banner down there that's like, down here that's really, dickish to AOC. And so what the accounts did is they would tweet this screenshot. They didn't show the video. They just tweeted the screenshot and said something like, this ain't it. Or this ain't it, chief. So in other words, like, why the hell are you going on Tucker? And that's just so disingenuous because if you watch the piece, Chris Smalls doesn't take the bait. He doesn't take the bait. He doesn't bash the left. And the implication from that tweet is like, well, now Chris Smalls is abandoning the left or bashing the left or whatever. And they're now throwing him under the bus because he's daring to talk to somebody who's on the right, somebody who's conservative. And by the way, the point of doing this is not really about Tucker. It's about the fact that he has 3 million viewers. Now, look, is this going to convince 100% of them? No. I don't know what percentage it's going to convince, but even if it convinces 10% or 20% or 30%, whatever the number is, okay, well, these are all people too, and they might be working at some company that has shitty working conditions as well. And, maybe they will be more inclined to vote for a labor union at their own job having watched this. Or maybe they'll be more inclined to help the Amazon labor union because they watched this. When Chris Smalls won, the union election at the place he used to work, the warehouse he used to work in Staten Island, he didn't go around saying, okay, what are your politics? Who did you vote for? what's your position on gay marriage, or whatever. He didn't do that. You build solidarity by putting all those things aside and saying, look, whatever our other disagreements, do you want higher wages? Do you want better health care? Do you want more vacation time? Do you want to have an actual say in the working conditions at your damn job? You do? Okay, well then let's work on this together, vote for the union. So you have to reach across these divides in order to get these things done. You have to. And that's the only way you win. There's no way you win by having a little circle jerk with you and all your buddies who already agree on 100% of things. Like, congratulations on the fact that you have a perfectly pure character and you only associate with other people with a perfectly pure character. But you're destined to fail and be your own little subculture and subgroup from now until the end of time, if that's what you want to do. So these people who are criticizing him are not serious about politics. They're just not. So...
yeah, honestly, if there is anyone that does disagree with this type of shit, they're just kind of an idiot. Like, where they only care about their own, like, identity politics and their own little culture war bullshit within their own personal circle. Where they do have, like, a little circle jerk. Like, instead of at least, you know, being willing to, like, open up the branch and being like, hey, let's actually, like, you know, try to reach, you know, across the aisle to some extent and actually show that, like, you know, hey, like, we're also willing to, you know, like, you know, spread the voice even for people like you, too, because, you know, this is an issue that, you know, also could pertain to people like you on this type of show. But it ain't about people like fucking Carlson. Oh, wait, a little echo chamber. I suppose. But at least when it comes to just my own general ideas and thought, you know, it's like I'm not just strictly looking at lefty shit. I mean, I look at a lot of what, you know, like right-leaning type of things and shit. And honestly, it's just what makes me more, you know, fucking like, ugh, you know, when it comes to the Republicans and GOP even more and more and shit. I mean, same thing for the Dems too, but, yeah, I mean, it's just more of a broader general discuss of the entire fucking system. But also, I'd say I'm not, you know, we're kind of a little echo chamber, not necessarily by choice. Gotta remember how the fucking algorithms can be. On Twitch, I'd probably say not as much. For my right-wing takes. I mean, you can't just have just that. But, yeah. I'll just kind of give that a little like. Kind of see what other people are saying there. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, yeah. Doing more than actual politicians, as labor direct action tends to do. You have to be anything special or dare I say smart to be an American success story, but being born in the right tax bracket certainly seems to help. Yeah. For some brands not smart, inarticulate by Ivy League educated Amazon executives, Chris Moss displayed an amazing amount of tact and clarity. Well, yeah, because a bunch of fucking racist-ass, you know, privileged fucking ivory towers sent little Ivy League Amazon execs and shit aren't going to give a fuck about it. They're just going to see, you know, some sort of working-class pleb who also happens to be black and be like, oh, you know, one of these random uneducated types. At least the white ones are a little educated. It's just like, I mean, yeah, what the fuck do you expect out of those racist scumfuck little shitbag privileged academics of fucking Ivy League? Like, I could care a fuck if they're, you know, from Ivy League or not. Like, they can suck a dick. I honestly kind of like how he didn't, you know, fucking take the tact of, you know, going after anybody necessarily. But just really strictly, you know, staying on fucking par with the whole fucking idea of, you know, of the unions and shit. So, that's always good. So you're a soldier of labor? I mean, I guess, but not necessarily. baby. Look at you. So cute. You're a sweet little boy. You're a sweet little boy, you is. These little munches. Sounds like a little squirrel chewing on a nut or something. Zukov is a union thug. He's just a little fluffy union poach. Little union dog. Just sweet little boy. What's this? Random little community poll. What food source would you be your go-to when lost in the wild? Berries, edible plants, bugs, big game, fish, small game. Probably fish. Portland has a lot. Oh, a lot of people fucking went for that. My second go-to would just be berries and edible plants. Because Portland has a lot of that. Well, not Portland, but Oregon has a lot of that too. Alright. Berries for me. I learned how to spot edible ones in Scouts. Oh. It's probably specific to your region though, so you probably wouldn't know much about the ones in PNW. I know Marionberries and huckleberries are obviously very well edible and delicious. God, huckleberries are... Marionberries are fucking delicious. Mm. Love me some Marionberries. Mm. You little sweet boy. I just realized, I think my monthly thing update, I'm gonna see if the hotspot is... Oh, technically on the last day cycle? Boo! So I have to wait? Really? I have to wait until tomorrow? For my hotspot bullshit? Boo! I wanna do it now. Boo. I know, that's what I'm saying. Boo. Because I was thinking I could do a quick little, you got shit to download? Yeah. Evidently. So it's like I gotta fucking, you know, get some of that shit going. I was thinking maybe I could, but I was like, oh wait. For some reason today started last day. It's like, fucking, it's like, god damn it. Luckily I already paid the bill, so it's just about waiting until, I guess, fucking midnight, which is, like, lame. It's like, can't you just whatever. Whatever. Oh, Bubba. Look at you. Are you staring at a little bug? What are you staring at? You staring off into the void. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Might be streaming at midnight. Well, honestly, at that rate, I'll probably just, like, you know, take a little break and then just stream later. I mean, because honestly, you know, they're not, like, main priorities, but I definitely want to deal with them. Like, need to get some more socks, because, yeah, every now and then, Zukov will find one or two, and then put holes in them. I'm kind of getting sick of that. I already do that enough as it is over time. So it's just like, I mean, I need to get at least, you know, another pair of some socks and shit. And, you know, put a little money in the bank, but that's about it. I'm actually wondering, since it's actually a sunny day and everything, if I could bring you along. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. I think you'll like how political Deus Ex is. Honestly, that's going to be the first thing I download. I'm not even going to download Victoria 2 yet. I'm downloading that first. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna... Is it just the first one? Which one is it specifically? First game? Okay, yeah, there's something about Mankind Divided, so I don't think that's it. Game of the Year, okay. There we go. There, we'll just kind of check out a little walk. I'll just kind of skim around this walkthrough. Jesus, this is a long one. Hey. I like this. I like the aesthetic so far of what we got going on. The graphics are cool, but the games are great. Did you just not hear what I said? You probably, you obviously you were typing it or posting it as I was saying it, but like, I like the aesthetic. I like these old graphic aesthetics.
Just call me. Sorry, you wanted something?
All these people, they're sick.
They're thick. Let's kind of skip a little more. Ah, here we go. So hacking rating if you want extra lore too. I'm always down with that type of shit.
The water line should be open now. Good. Glad to see you UNETCO boys do something for the community. Now can you tell me about the NSF? The NSF? Yeah, they took over our tunnels. How do I get there? Go to the women's restroom on the other side of the station.
Let's go in Terminator status.
Bed under the sink. Combinations.
Batman / Terminator status of that voice.
Great. I'm glad I can help you out.
I'm Batman. Let me just hold this crowbar. Cause I'm a Deus Ex Batman. A tunnel, huh? Sound like Steven Seagal. You know, he kind of does a little bit. Data cubes, huh? Honestly, it does look pretty legit. Obviously, I'd probably be spending a long fucking time playing the game, though, but hey, that's totally fine. Probably won't, you know, do... I'll probably do some gameplays a little bit, but... I mean, might take a little, like, too much time, depending. So it might be, you know, I definitely want to, you know, download and start playing first and shit. Zukov, what's up? You need to go outside? Here, hold on. Actually, he probably does. You probably do, don't you, a little bit? Oh, it's a little bit. Here, hold on. Zukov, what are you doing? Zukov, oh my god. What are you doing? Goofball. Come on. There it is. That's how I'm doing this a little bit. You don't stay down with the goofball. silly little thing. You're a silly goof. Deus Ex Rewards Exploration. A. I had to make sure that little gate was closed while I was trying to do that. Neighbors came outside for a second, and he started going over there checking him out and snooping around. It's like, bro, come on. If not immaterial goods, then exploits or lore, or all three. I'm gonna kind of see what type of shit's going down for 2. It seems like the whole Christopher Smalls thing seems like it's the whole big thing today. It's like the whole big fun thing that everyone wanted to kind of go off and vamp about. And of course, Progressive Caucus being backstabbed piece of shit, but doesn't seem like there's too much, at least. Oh, you know, I just realized there was the Patron Onion Nuggets. Tuned in for some of it, but not a lot of it. Oh, what's this? Program that allows children or adults of functional needs to practice flying is relaunching. American Airlines program called It's Cool to Fly. American Airlines has been on hold 2 years due to the pandemic. So what's this do? The program lets those with a fear of flying to do a full practice run, including going through security, walking through the gate, and even taxiing to the plane. The program also helps parents and caregivers feel more comfortable about leading up to travel days. Anyone that has anxiety can come, even with adults with anxiety. Huh. Okay, that's pretty cool. Get my friend to do it. He's like, I will never be on a fucking plane. I will never fly. It's just like, Now, if I have something to say about it. Wait, what the hell? Asked in 1963, would a woman be a good president? Frank Campa? No. Today their mind is one way, the next day it changes. Tom Romanowski? No, I don't have that much faith in women to let them run the country. Oh my god. Mrs. Maureen? No, a man's more responsible. Oh boy. I don't have enough problems without being president. Mrs. Tom Romanowski? So another Romanowski. No, a woman's too likely to give in. They might not stand their ground when they should. You might want to fast forward a little bit. Van House. Or Van Housen? Or no, yeah, Van House. Okay, this one's funny. She couldn't do any worse than some we've had. She couldn't be any worse than some presidents we've had before. Okay, I kind of like that one. That last guy is kind of based. Vornhaus. I like that guy. I actually kind of relate with that one. Yeah, they probably couldn't be worse than our current presidents and the ones we've had. So, which is true, especially considering the ones who have been pretty close to it. So, it's like, yeah. It's like, can't we at least have one that's at least, you know, especially worth a fuck? I mean, it's a nice little thing to go for, but I mean, I prefer one that's actually, like, you know, progressively. It's like, you know, it's like, hey, we got a first woman president, but she's also like a hyper crazy conservative. It's like, yeah, you know, is that really an achievement? No, it's not. Like, oh my god. My goodness. What the fuck is this? Noah Samson, the Vosh effect, is it really bad? Oh my fucking god. I've seen like a couple clips of the first Noah Samson video about bread tubers and shit, but oh, because Vosh got targeted in it, suddenly it's now a big hulk of fluffle. It's like, Jesus Christ. Can't tell if it's a leaf bro or not, but oh my god. This is why I also don't do outside streams even though it's nice and sunny. George Bush as a spy? Oh god. That sounds horrifying. I actually kind of want to make sure he's got to sneak out in the front yard somehow. I know his capabilities. You jackass. Man, get the fuck in here. Man, you little jackass. Snow sneaking out into the damn front yard. Little prick, look at you. Look at you, you little prick. Look at you. What? What? Goof. It's as an Easter egg. Can you imagine good old George W. Bush's super spy? My lord. That just sounds... Ugh. That just sounds horrifying, honestly. Like, good sweet God. You can have good old George W. Wait, wouldn't it technically be HW? I mean, he was the head of the CIA, so it does make sense. At least at one point. Wait, what's this? Leaked audio exposed the streamer for snaky behavior. What? Alright, I'm actually tad curious. What's this?
By a lot of people. But the most dishonest backstab is from a fellow Marylander. That is the most dishonest. A grifter sociopath? What the fuck did I do? What did I do? People just throw these words out there like anything, like
what the hell?
Groomer, pedophile, da-da-da, people, abuser, da-da-da. People throw these words out like they're like just like Pokemon cards. They're nothing. Oh my god, why?
What the fuck?
Why is it Just be honest with me. If you don't like me, just tell me you don't like me. If I don't like someone, I'll usually be pretty upfront. I was not.
Oh my lord. So basically, it's just a bunch of people who forgot they were live streaming, who are fucking on Dylan Burns and calling him a psycho grifter, amongst other things, I'm guessing. And because he's gay, there's also the whole weird pro-groomer thing, too, I guess. It's just like, what? It's like, okay, so someone was copying an absolute dumb fuck. And honestly, like, I kind of like his expression about that. It's like, what the fuck? What did I ever do? Like, honestly, though, like, what? Yeah, like, what? You know, it's like, ideologically and philosophically, I might not agree with Dylan Burns on a lot, but, like, yeah, like, what? I mean, honestly, what the fuck has he done? Like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, if anything, I kind of at least like the idea of, you know, that he decided to go check out, you know, some of, like, you know, people's experiences firsthand with the whole Ukrainian war thing going on by going to Poland and seeing if he could try to go to Lviv, you know, just to kind of get, you know, an idea of what people are saying on the ground and shit. I mean, I can actually appreciate that a little bit because you don't see any of these other fucking YouTubers doing shit like that or streamers doing shit like that. I mean, at least the ones that have the means and abilities to do such. So it's just like, I mean, I could at least give him credit where it is. Oh, what's up, Bodo? As an Easter egg in Germany, you can sometimes hire a certain man with a silly mustache. Well, in that timeline, in the Kaiserreich lore, Hitler would not be the Hitler we know of him today. He'll be a different Hitler. Like, also, maybe his very crazy Jewish ideas and shit, or, you know, his anti-Jewish ideas probably wouldn't be as severe. Honestly, like, I mean, maybe it was a bad idea for the intent powers to win, because, I don't know, especially the Treaty of Versailles, and, like, Hitler coming to power and, you know, exploiting all that shit, and then fucking, you know... I don't know. At least, like, maybe I'm just now started to get having a perspective painted because of Kaiserreich now a little bit, but just having a very hopeful idea that that timeline would actually be very close to reality if that were to be the case. But obviously, you know, in that case, it wouldn't be, because that's not how it went. It probably should have. It's like maybe Central Europe maybe wouldn't be as fucking, you know, like lefty and shit, but hey, it would just be the start of something new. Probably better. If there's multiverses, that timeline, whatever timeline that is most certainly like a better timeline than this one. Or maybe they already had nuclear hellfire and war, you know, who knows. Cold War ended up being hot war by like the 90s and shit, instead of things breaking up and disiluding. Honestly, they should make a Hearts of Iron, eventually, Paradox, that's set more like specifically during the Cold War. So you can kind of set up certain like scenarios or certain things to where there can be like actual more updated consequences to nuclear weapons and shit. Well, I guess it would. Well, I mean, it would have to, I guess, you know, be done in a certain way, I guess, just because, I mean, obviously, to like UK, France, USSR, and US would all have nukes, especially as in the start, depending on when it starts in the game. I guess it could probably be in the 50s. And then, I mean, it could work, I mean, because of all the other little smaller nations and shit. Especially in, like, in Africa and stuff like that. But now that's making me want to play Victoria 2, because I know that's, like, kind of a little bit, you know, before, you know, the Hearts of Iron, you know, section of time. Super healing or super strength? Probably, well, would the super healing being for myself, or for other people, too? I guess that's a caveat. Because if it's just for myself, then it's like, I mean, sure, but super strength actually would probably be legitimately, very, in handy. Just healing yourself. Well, yeah, I guess I'd probably take the healing. But, I mean, when it comes, like, that's the choice you'll make in Deus Ex. Oh, really? So you're making me, see what choice I would take. But, I mean, super strength does, seem like it would come in handy as well, though. Just a sweet little baby. Little flop. He was all energetic and excited, now he's all, like, sleepy. Let's pick up and throw big things, uncover new paths and supplies, but healing is good when low on medic packs. Oh, yeah, true. Well, at that point, you wouldn't really even need medic packs. I mean, you wouldn't even need them at that point, so... Let's see what RM shit. It doesn't look like too much. Oh, Grantham actually released a new video. The Scar 16S. Can it compete with the high-end AR-15s? Oh, damn! Look at that fucker. The healing cost energy. AUG uses energy when in use. Well, I'm sure you can do upgrades to your energy levels and stuff like that. Dude, look at that fucker. Dude, look at that Scar S. Or it says Scar L, but Scar 16? I don't know. I don't want to look at this bad boy. That thing looks fucking nice. I love the intense fucking production that Grantham does for this shit. Gotta get in my tactical LARP gear. I want to hear it. Damn, that gun sounds nice. Oh, look at that! Dude, that fucking platform looks sick. Dude, that thing looks so fucking sick. It looks like there's like no recoil on the fucker either. Damn. Such production value. Such production value, damn son. Oh my god, dude, that thing looks fucking slick and schmexy in every way possible.
Scar 16S, probably one of the most recognizable rifles behind the AK and the M16. Now, this is a video that we've been wanting to do for a very long time, but we took our time because FN made a couple changes and we wanted to make sure we were thorough with it. In any case, the Scar is made by FN in Belgium, who are famous for waffles and murder. Now it's
waffles and murder?
South Carolina, which is...
What about Belgian chocolates?
just dirty. In any case, I hope you guys will join us as we talk about the Scar L today on Grand Theft. Now, before we do, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. We, of course, have the...
Eschew your sponsors.
Now, before we do, I want to go through full disclosure. What is my relationship with FN? Who makes this? So the first model that I had was a Scar 16S, which had a reciprocating charging handle. Now, we linked up with FN, and they also sent us the new non-reciprocating charging handle model as well, which is why this review is slightly delayed. Now, in this case, the short barrel, which is a factory from FN, was purchased by me. Everything else purchased by me, but of course, the weapon itself is from FN. The ammunition was sponsored from Norma, who is our ammunition sponsor. A big thank you to them. And no money was exchanged at all between me or FN or any company to pay for this review. In any case, this is pretty typical rifle for the review. So without further ado, alright, let's get into it. So we're going to do what my boys down in Medina love. We're going to go tip to butt on this particular rifle. We're going to talk about it. What makes it good? What makes it bad? But before we do...
That's cycling, though.
Let's talk about what it is. So the Scar L is a 5...
Goddamn, look at that thing. Dude, man, when I get my AK, I'm wondering, should I do like the like extra magnifier type of thing? I'm honestly kind of half tempted a little bit. I've been seeing this on a lot of different platforms and a lot of people's like rigs and kits, and I'm just like, fuck, I kind of want to get up on that game a little bit. It seems like a really nice setup. Maybe, ooh, I don't want to get too intense about it.
5mm rifle. It, of course...
Make it bussy moist. I mean, I'm sorry.
Detachable magazines will fit anything that is Stenag, and it is a short-stroke gas-operated weapon. That being said, it has a very interesting mechanism, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It has been a pain for a lot of guys with optics. In any case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start at the very tip here. Now, this is my first problem that I have with the Scar L. We're going to pop up a picture right here, but on the Scar 16, it's very odd that it has a PWS muzzle brake. In my mind, the Scar 16 in every way was meant to be a fighting rifle, so why they'd include a muzzle brake on a 16-inch Scar doesn't make a lot of sense. The muzzle brake just isn't a good muzzle device for a combat weapon. Now, that being said, the short barrel variant, which we have on this guy right here, had a 3-prong from FN, which was absolutely awesome. That being said, of course, these muzzle devices can be easily changed, so it's not that big of a deal. It was just kind of an odd choice, I think, for the main system. In this case, we do have a Knight's Armament 3-prong. That way we can mount our Knight's Armament QDC can. Now, if you guys know anything about the Scar, you know that when you mount a suppressor to this bad boy, that it invalidates your warranty to begin to fire it. Now, I wasn't sure if this was true, so I spoke directly to FN about this, and I was really surprised, actually, and they're like, yes, this is true. If you do mount a suppressor to this weapon, your warranty is screwed, pretty much. They'll work with you.
Really?
They'll get it fixed, but you're kind of out of warranty at that point. It's so odd for a weapon post-2020, hell, post-2015, to not work well with a suppressor, especially for a suppressor to invalidate your warranty.
Yeah, that seems a little fucked.
A $3,000 weapon, you'll find that kind of...
I'm only getting one that's $1,000. Man, that just made me... Oh, it made me skip a beat.
For such an expensive weapon, there are some odd choices on the Scar that make it kind of not the...
This is like the rich boy's gun. Like, I mean, I'm getting like the peasant's gun, the AK, while this is like, I'm the rich boy. While like the AR-15 style guns are more like in the middle. Like, you know, they could be rich boy, but, you know, like, the peasant can grab one, but maybe more on the cheaper end of things.
About the Scar is that it does have a position to decrease the amount of gas going back to the bulk carrier, specifically for a suppressed setting. So if you push it over, that is the suppressed setting. And to be clear, with the QDC mounted, this thing is absolutely awesome. It is extremely manageable, extremely soft recoiling, so little gas in my face. This weapon was meant to be run suppressed in my mind. So I just don't like it that they're like, yeah, your warranty's screwed if you put a suppressor on.
Yeah, it seems some bullshit there.
Super odd. For such a large company, for such an expensive weapon,
yeah,
it really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth when I started this review off. We're gonna move
honestly, just knowing that honestly, like, is a major turnoff. Like, I can understand maybe like avoiding warranty and, like, you know, for certain for certain things, but like, You know, like if you purposely fucking alter your gun in some way or some shit outside of, you know, basically upgrades like, you know, replacing like the dust cover or something like that or blah blah blah. You know, or adding an optic or some shit. Like, I mean, outside of, you know, that type of stuff where you're actually like purposely modifying, you know, like the receiver or something like that. I mean, you know, like I can see shit like that, but like just adding a suppressor, like, that just seems dumb.
We're going to talk about the barrel. Much like your ex, cold-hearted, it is a cold hammer forged barrel. Now, unlike your ex, it's not going to hurt you, it's just going to hurt others. But for real, a cold hammer forged barrel is a wonderful thing to have on a fighting rifle. And the reason for that is a cold hammer forged barrel is simply going to last a larger number of rounds. Mostly, it's for weapons that are firing in automatic, but even still as a civilian or whatever you want to call yourself, a citizen who should be allowed to own these no problem willy-nilly, it's going to be an excellent thing. Cold hammer forged barrels are what I like to see, so I'm very impressed with the barrel. And beyond that, this is an extremely accurate weapon. Now, it's hard to beat the just rugged reliability and accuracy that you see from an AR-15, but the SCAR gets pretty damn close, and with the 77 grain OTMs from Black Hills, we are printing about 1 MOA or less. And could we have done less? Possibly. It's probably me as a shooter not being able to push the weapon, but it is a very accurate weapon. And especially when we come to this little boy right here, this little 10-inch model, 10 inches is small, we're easily able to hit about the max effective range. So the max effective range on this guy is purported to be anywhere from 300 to 350. Nailing silhouettes at 350, 400.
I mean, it's more of a QCB weapon, so it makes sense.
Absolutely no problem with this guy. Just an absolute breeze to fire to keep this thing on target and to just drill targets. So when we speak to the heart of the weapon, the barrel, it is very, very exceptional in my opinion. Now this video is sponsored.
I mean, he talks like there's like a, oh my god, hold on. Let me just, we're just giving a little bit of sponsor moment. But like, that face right there shows my disappointment in the sponsorship right here. But anyway, what in the fuck? How much? How much? There we go. Okay. Sweet Jesus. But yeah, like honestly, it just seems like, you know, for a QCB type of weapon, it just seems like perfect. I mean, it even has like a little folding stock as well to it. I mean, it's like it's a little shorty. It's a little shorty boy. I mean, I also kind of like these more like close-knit carbine style weapons, personally. Like even with AKs, like, you know, the AK I'm getting is the trooper. It's shortened for a paratrooper model. So it's kind of like, while the barrel itself is a little long, like a traditional AK barrel, it's more of like kind of a compactor design, you know, in comparison to, you know, your traditional AK basically. So I guess, you know, hypothetically I could change the barrel to make it of a shorter barrel, you know, to make it a little bit more of a compact weapon, but it's not necessarily, you know, needed, so to speak. But, you know, to make it a little bit more of a shorty, I could. In fact, I honestly, you know, might think about it.
Nonetheless, when you get it, there is Picatinny on all sides. Both the sides, you have the 3 o'clock, the 9 o'clock, and of course the 6 o'clock. So 2010 called and they want their rail back. But I understand, quad rail gang, it's very cool. At the same time, in post-2020, coming out with a weapon with, in my opinion, such poor ergonomics is very questionable. So of course, in our case...
Oh my god, these fucking like spam calls, bro. 2 in a row today.
Right here, it is typically a full-sized Picatinny rail. We have removed that. We have the PMM bottom rail deletion kit. As well, on the sides, you can see we have these panels right here on both sides. Those are also rail deletion kits. Now, beyond there, we have, of course, had the extended rails right here that push it right up to the muzzle, and the suppressor obviously still fits. This makes for a much more ergonomic package that allows me to push my light up further to ensure I'm not getting light splash across the muzzle device or across my suppressor as much, and it's just a better system. So I really do wish that in many ways that the SCAR would come configured like this from the factory. And I understand this is a very personal choice, but if I'm going to review a gun, I'm going to talk about what I would like on it. This is how the SCAR should come from the factory. This is incredible. When I grip this weapon, this is just how it should be from the factory. But
Yeah, honestly, I mean, considering like when you have so much Picatinny rails and shit, that honestly is kind of over cumbersome. Like, it's a little annoying. Like, there really only should be like some for the top and maybe the bottom if you want to add a grip, but that's about it. Maybe like a little bit on the side at the very, very front.
I have problems with the handguards given that this is such an expensive weapon. Now, going back from there, we do have our operating system. Now, with the new SCAR, we have a lot of really good things happening. So on the original SCAR 16 or SCAR 17, SCAR 8, SCAR L, when you'd fire the weapon every time you pull the trigger, that entire charging handle would just go flying back, right? It was a reciprocating charging handle, which was at the request of SOCOM. This has much been a beleaguering point that people have pointed out on the SCAR about how annoying that is to have a reciprocating charging handle, especially given that how short the handguard on the SCAR is. Your hand is typically right up against it, so guys are coming up with a bunch of wacky designs to make it work or to switch the
man, I mean, that, yeah, like, I mean, that's kind of one thing I've noticed about like some firearms, like, when it comes to holding them. It's like sometimes it feels like the charging handle and everything, like might, kind of smack you, in your hand or in your wrist or some shit. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Like, I mean, you're gonna get, a little banged up and, get a little bruising or a little scrape and shit. And while it's not like the end of the world, it's not exactly convenient.
I mean, everything. So finally, with FN's new update, which removes the reciprocation, and every time you fire the weapon, the charging handle does not reciprocate. That being said, on the last round, through some obscure Belgian magic, that thing will lock back, and then of course you can drop it at that point. Very odd. I try not to think about it. It really terrifies me, and for a couple nights I didn't sleep.
Oh man, those Belgians, bro. They got some weird Belgian waffle magic going on with that, bro. All they did is they have like a little waffle feeder. They just feed waffles to the system. So once it opens, all you have to do is just slide a little waffle in. And it feeds it. And it feeds the weapon, and thus continues its life.
And
longevity.
The SCAR has made this a far more...
It's what the Belgians intended.
In so many ways. Now, beyond that, the SCAR is a very odd weapon. So although it is a short stroke gas piston system, it is the envy of all gas piston systems due to the girth. I'll show you right here.
Oh my lord.
So as you can see, the charging handle,
charging
handles are removable. You can swap those either side. We have those right there. Action spring, and of course we got this long boy right there. So compared to most short stroke gas piston designs, this is something that's much more reminiscent of an AK with a long piston, although it is
looks like
stroke. It is the envy.
Honestly, that's the first thing I noticed about that gas piston. It's like that kind of looks somewhat reminiscent of an AK gas piston.
Piston designs. And this extra weight, of course, allows for it to be a very smooth operating system, which is kind of contrary to what I would typically think. When I think of a smooth system with little recoil, I think of something with less weight. But it really does work for the SCAR, so you have to really give it to their engineers for doing something quite excellent. In any case, it should be noted at how pleasant the recoil impulse on the FN SCAR L is. A lot of people believe that due to it being a piston-operated weapon, that like many other piston-operated weapons, it's going to be a bit of a bitch in the recoil department, but I found nothing of the sorts. The recoil on this guy is just extremely pleasant, even on this short-barreled variant, and so there's a lot to be said about that. And beyond that...
Man, that was a very easy reassembly, holy shit.
I think what is really interesting...
I was paying attention more to the reassembly than what he was actually saying there for a second, and god damn, that was like slicker than fucking shit.
Is sometimes things just work. I don't know if it's from the amount of waffle makers that they've made or what it is, or just their love of firearms, but the Belgians,
it's the waffles.
Specifically FN, really got the design right, where the SCAR L, specifically the 16-inch version, is known for having insane parts longevity. There are receivers with no major parts breakages that are well over 200,000 rounds. That's both from military sources as well from Battlefield Vegas, who keeps really good notes on all of their rentals. FN really got it right. The question is, does this matter to somebody like near you? Am I ever going to put 200,000 rounds on one SCAR? I hope. That'd be a really good day. That means ammo is really plentiful, but probably not. That being said, what it does speak to...
I would love to. I mean, I wish, but this is a rich boy gun. I mean, it's just like... It's definitely more of like, you know... If like somebody had like a lot more of the fucking money... Basically, or at least like enough, you know, to splash out on if they wanted to. This would be kind of like if they wanted to kind of be a little bougie about it, you know, instead of getting an AR, they'd probably get this or something. Which is just like, goddamn, I'd be jelly. Because, fuck, I mean, honestly, like, you know, the more like bigger, like more like combat rifles variant of the SCARs, I'm not really fond of. But this like a little shorty version, like, goddamn. It's a little slick little boy. It's a little slick boy. It's a little shorty slick boy is what I think. It's like, and honestly, that gas piston kind of like threw me through a loop. I was like, that kind of looks like an AK a little bit. And disassembly looks like ridiculously easy. It's like the belt just kind of took a little bit of tips from Kalashnikov on that a little bit, honestly. Like, dead ass. Get it gold plated in my opinion. Yeah. Like hell, like, I mean... You know, even, you know, for a cheap gun, you know, like an AK or like, you know, or some shit like that, if you gold plated it, like, yeah, you booged the fuck out of it. Honestly, that's just sacrilege in my mind. And also, gold is not even a good metal to even use on a firearm. Like, that's why if you look at a gold weapon, it's more or less gold plated, not actual, like, a gold gun. Because gold is not a good metal when it comes to, you know, dealing with heat.
Well, these are put together, and specifically that you can expect these to last for a very long time. Now, of course, you will have to replace springs and extractors and all that good stuff that is needed in a typical maintenance cycle. But as far as your main parts, your major parts holding up, they're going to be good to go. So if for whatever reason you're going to be launching to another
gold
planet...
soft metal, exactly.
To invade, I don't know. Or if you're just stuck in your basement and you're too fat to climb up the stairs and you're going to be operating down there forever. You have to worry about parts. All right.
Damn.
Moving back from there, we do have our controls. Now, the controls on the SCAR are very AR-like. Ergo, they're awesome. So we have our magazine release on the side right here. It's nice and fenced in. That way you don't accidentally release a magazine. You won't have an accident.
Yeah, it's definitely a way better use as electronic devices.
Release there. And then on the other side, of course, we have another magazine release. So that is Ambi for my lefties out there. I'm sure you guys are very excited about that.
Giggity.
Our bolt catch and our bolt release are quite simple to operate. So, of course, we have standard AR type reload. If you want to lock that back, you can also just push down on it.
Also, now I'm thinking about this at least especially the shorty, like for the SCAR, like it kind of looks like a like mixture of AK and AR, like had a baby, like honestly, like they had a baby and the baby got rich. Like, I mean, it's just like, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking about when it comes to the SCAR now. Now you know, now that he kind of disassembled it, reassembled it, and you know, and I'm looking at it, it's like, yeah, like at least on the surface, it looks kind of like an AR and how it, you know, works, but like the internals are kind of AK like a little bit.
Again, reloads are very simple. You're simply going to, if you have a mag in there, you're going to drop your empty, put it in your loaded, and then you're good to go at that point. So, SCAR is just a good, simple platform, and I really love the sound the SCAR makes as it sends that round home into the chamber. Just safety. Safety is awesome.
Nice.
Safety is awesome. What I really like about the safety is that it is a simple 45-degree throw. So when I go to fire, man, that is fast on this gun. I am, for whatever reason, I find myself to be exceptionally fast on this particular weapon. And of course, the opposite side, if you are shooting long range, you can easily click over on that side, or if you're left-handed, you have your safety right there. Now, with all that good being said about FN, we have some bad things coming up.
Uh-oh.
First bad thing is the grip. It's so odd to me that on a weapon that is this expensive that we have an A2 grip from the factory. An A2 grip is literally a $3 minus part. They are everywhere. They are super simple. They're made everywhere. That's the...
I think that's just a standard for like most AR style guns at this point, or at least to have like a similar like surface look, you know, to that type of thing, like Scar does. I mean, it just seems like it. Like, I've noticed that about a lot of these, you know, different types of weapons when it comes to just factory made. They have, like, that A2 style, and it's like, I think that's just legit just the standard, because there's literally so fucking many of them. So, it's just like, you know, instead of having, like, something that, you know, makes it, you know, just a tad bit more expensive, they just, you know, kind of cheap out and just do that. Well, also probably price gouging people, too. So it's like, instead of making this like a $2.5 gun, we'll make it $3 because it has, like, a cheap part. Or a couple cheap parts on it. It's like, seriously. I mean, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that, like, upgrade and deck out their rigs and shit, but, like, I mean, not everyone does that. Or I guess not necessarily has the money for it, too. I mean, especially if you know, I guess someone gets a Scar, especially if it's like a $3 type of gun, like, it's gonna be, you know, probably just, you know, not necessarily just as expensive, but it's gonna be pretty expensive to upgrade it by adding some different stuff outside of optics or some shit. You know, it's like, I mean, you know, to have like a little, I mean, I guess a grip isn't a big deal, because honestly, it's just a very easy, simple little upgrade. It's honestly a part that, this is honestly all you have to do is just like unscrew it. So like you know, undo a few screws and it comes off. I mean, it's like that for pretty much like most, if not all, guns when it comes to the grip.
Well, and I understand you can change it for something else, but why not include a better grip, like a BCM right out of the factory? Like, why?
Yeah, I'm looking at. Yeah, I think it's literally just. Oh my god, it really is just kind of a gross grip. I'm not even gonna lie. It's just. It just looks so bleh, so bland and just lame looking, but. I think it's just because there's so fucking many of them, so it's just the standard. Like, they probably don't even, like, make it. They probably just order them, and they probably have a whole fat stockpile of them. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's probably how it is. So they probably just use whatever they have in stock. I mean, just because there's just so many of those grips.
It annoys me to no extent. I really wish they'd have something better from the factory, and that also goes for the trigger. To have such a nice, expensive gun and just include just an absolute... just crap mil-spec trigger. I don't know.
See, yeah, just another thing where they cheap out. See now, all right, now I'm starting to see where the problems are. It's not necessarily a rich boy gun. It's price gouged to be one. Like, I mean, honestly, it's probably worth just as much, if not, you know, maybe a tad bit more than probably your average AR. But, of course, it's Belgian, it's fancy, it's made out of waffles, so, you know, it's got to, you know, have a little price tag on it, but just like any other fucking company, they're going to price gouge you and cheap out on a bunch of shit. So at least the stuff that isn't as important, like grips and just the trigger itself and stuff like that, like, it's not as important, you know, in comparison to, like, the gas, you know, block and the barrel and all that shit. So they cheap out on those type of things. It's like, instead of just making sure the entire thing is actually legitimately just a nice quality thing, you know, just overall, and this just goes to in general, not just guns, but just like in any product, you know, made by these fucking companies. It's like, just make it as a quality fucking thing, because it just lasts longer and you get a lot more bang for the buck. And, you know, it's like, if anything, if something goes wrong with it, well, you got extra parts and shit, people will buy them off of you. You're still making money off the fucking thing. So it's just like, it's just, I mean, it's just all for, you know, trying to make more quantity versus quality when it comes to this type of shit. And it's just stupid. I mean, it's honestly, I think some are. Like, from my understanding, the gun I want to get, the Century Arms Vishka, like, the latest models they came out with have actually been a very significant improvement from what they've used to be making, from what I've heard. Because, from what I've understood, for years, like, Century Arms was kind of shitty, but, like, at least these last ones they put out, like, there's been nothing more than, like, just very positive reviews out of them. So it's just like, oh, well, I mean, at least there's some out there that are taking the hint. You know, it's like, hey, maybe, you know, quantity isn't necessarily the big thing. Maybe actually having some quality is actually a good thing. So it's just like, I mean, yeah, it's good. And also, people are more likely to be recurring customers, too, that way. Because they know that there's, like, a satisfaction guarantee type of thing, instead of something that keeps breaking every fucking month or something.
Other weapon, we do have a Geisley, because, again, if I'm going to be shooting this thing a lot, I want this thing to please fuck. So, in any case, we have Geisley in here. The question, how good is the Geisley? We'll have to find out. So, put your finger right over mine, little Unchained Melody. Let's go set trigger. We have a millimeter play right there. Hit our first wall. Let off at approximately maybe 3 pounds right there. All right, let's go ahead and feel that one more time. All right, reset, less than a millimeter, and I'm right back on that wall. 3 pounds, probably less.
So that trigger is a lot better. I imagine the standard one is probably shittier. Honestly, it's just like, yeah, because quality matters. Honestly, they should just put that type of trigger made as the factory. So, just factory made. Just made their own variant of it. Because, man, I'm not gonna lie, that trigger sounds fucking slick. Honestly, it's, depending on how the trigger is for my Vishka when I get it, stock, I'm gonna see if I might upgrade that too. And, oh my god, you fucking moany bastard. To play Deus Ex, the game's influenced me hard alongside Knights of the Old Republic 2. Well, I know Knights of the Old Republic has absolutely influenced you because you like to talk about it and meme it, and it's literally your goddamn fucking PFP. Like, I mean, I know your love for it.
That is a fast trigger right there. And honestly, that's what it should come with. It should come with these upgrades, right?
Yeah, that's what I just said, yeah.
It should come with a good trigger. It should come with a modern design for a handguard for how expensive it is. All right, I digress. I'm not going to bring it up. Now, from there, I want to talk about something that's
but you should.
Really wonderful about the Scar. Sights. The sights on this guy are just absolutely phenomenal. The front sight is simple to use. It is awesome. It is high to pick up. The iron sight at the rear is probably one of the best iron sights that comes on any factory gun. So there's a lot to be said about it. It is very similar to the FG42. I respect that quite a bit.
Really?
It's just an awesome design. I can't imagine the amount of money that they put into making these, but you can tell they put a lot of quality into these iron sights right there. So really good on them. Extremely usable from the factory. Honestly, this guy's completely fine with iron sights. They're that good. So from those iron sights, we're going to go with the stock. Fun fact, the stock is actually made by UGG. So you might think...
UGG? Did he just say UGG? He said UGG. Okay.
UGG boot. We'll put a picture right here. But it actually is. It's not. But extremely unfortunate that it looks so similar. In any case, as you can see on mine, I have replaced it with a KDG with the Magpul ACR Masada stock because a couple things. I think it feels better. I think it looks better, especially on a short gun. And I just like it more, quite honestly. There's nothing wrong with the Scar stock, the typical one. I just don't believe that it works nearly as well as this upgraded one. Now, it should be known that many people have said that this adapter right here for the ACR stock, which is metal, causes some issues with resonance in the weapon and can damage it further compared to the plastic one on the typical FN Scar. I haven't seen that personally. I've ran a couple, at this point, 6,000 rounds on Scars with stocks like this, 3,000 on this particular guy right here. And I've run into no issues. I don't doubt these people. It should be noted, I just can't corroborate that with my own experiences. It should be said that a lot of people have said that the Scar launches optics. It kills them. Probably more so the Scar H than the Scar L. And the reason for that is that heavy bolt carrier slamming forward.
Also, I'm feeling like, if it's personal experience type of shit when it comes to the whole, deterioration, it might just be, again, lack of quality. Like something about the quality of the gun is not good and thus, is fucking it up.
Being said, of all these modern optics that I've used on Scars, I haven't had a single optic break. Anything from Aimpoint Comp M5s to cheap primary arms, LPVOs, and red dots. I've just never had a single problem. So I think it was a problem perhaps with earlier optics, because I certainly haven't seen it today on any modern ones. In any case, that kind of brings us to the end of the Scar. So the question is, for the $4,000 it took me to buy the rifle, get this thing upgraded, and just make it just rock hard, was it worth it compared to, let's say, a really good AR-15 build, like a URGI from Geisley with a Geisley lower, or what have you, with all these upgrades that come from them straight off the bat, where I can mount a suppressor to those guys and it doesn't invalidate my warranty? Probably not. If I was looking to buy a rifle, and I didn't have a good fighting rifle, I would probably go for an AR-15, a really nice one, over the Scar. Now, that being said, if you have everything under the sun and you're really looking to, try out different platforms, this is awesome. Like I said, again, in every way,
maybe one day,
find this to be an exceptional platform now.
One day, but not the day.
Upgraded. It's just, man, that price is steep. And no matter what,
that's the problem.
It kind of doesn't matter in the end, because
it kind of does for me.
If you suck, you still suck. So make sure that you get training guys, because as cool as this guy looks right here, if you don't train,
that's true.
You're still just going to be really valuable loot drop for somebody. So get out.
Valuable loot drop for somebody. Yeah. That's the key of it all. You know, you might look cool and badass, but you actually gotta train on your shit. Yes.
Solutions, Cogworks.
I mean, there's the whole idea of LARPing as a meme, but there's actually a little bit of merit to it. I mean, you know, you want to be kind of familiar with your stuff.
Guys out there, become the weapon. These are cool. These are the tools. You are what matters. You matter. Don't forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching.
Aw, he says I matter. And you all matter. Aw. He's like a puppy. He's like a papa. I've actually noticed that about Grantham. He kind of has like the aesthetic of like kind of like a humbled like firearms father type, you know, teacher type of dude, while also still memeing around and having fun. Like he just seems, you know, he just definitely, you know seems like the type. Like him and I could probably vibe. You're mad at the Zugov. Zugov matters to me because he's asleep. Matter because whatever you're dreaming about must be sweet. But let's see what Domedy is. It's about like 7-4 or something. I think I'll probably come back in a little bit. More closer to, I guess, like the midnight mark, just so I can fucking get to download shit, I guess. Because I have to wait for that nonsense. Boo. Oh my fucking god. Boo, stay. I'm hungry. I want food. I also kind of want to do the side mission requiring some sulks. And making sure that they're hidden away somewhere so Zukov doesn't fucking eat them. And, yeah. So, it's just like, I kind of want to do that. And it's all kind of in a general vicinity where I could all knock it out in a pretty quick little package. So. Because from whence I return, hey. You know, it'll be more closer to me potentially maybe playing Deus Ex or not. Because that's definitely, you know, the likelihood. Go eat then. I will. You know what's dumb is that, like, I did eat something before this, but my like, stomach was just like, hey, we're so hungry, bitch. It's like, fuck. God damn it. I was hoping I wouldn't be. But alas, here I am. See you back in a midnight. Well, I mean, I'll be here before midnight. But anyway, I'll go off and do my tiny little smidge of errands. But at least in the meantime,